No, name redacted. No, we will not be drinking Bucky.
No Buckfast.
We do have beverages. We will be drinking beverages. We will be playing games and reading the last few bits of fan mail for the year. I'm sure there were a couple of stories that we were supposed to look at, but probably won't get to those.
And we can click into them. We've got the page open anyway.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Guitar Souls live stream. This is, I guess, episode 139?
Does this even count as an episode?
Yeah, because I'll download the audio and upload it for the audio people to enjoy. So
Fair.
If you're listening to us, you can't see that Mike is wearing a fantastic see-through vest. No, it's not. That's not true, actually.
I'm like Rab Cena's, but sexier.
Yeah, I meant to put on some antlers for this because it is supposed to be a Christmas stream, but such is life. How are the levels for everybody out there? Can everybody hear us okay? You should be able to hear us absolutely fine. Can't see why you wouldn't be able to hear us fine.
Yes.
Do us a favour and go on social media and share the stream. We would very much appreciate a wee share of the stream. It is a big help for us, especially as we're going to be playing our game today. I've got the cards with all the guitar players' names on. We're going to shuffle these up. We're going to draw two of them, and then we're going to argue over who is the best, who's the better guitar player. We can discuss what the criteria for that will be before we go. And
I think we shouldn't discuss any criteria. I think that'll make it way more fun.
It'll make it more confusing though.
So
we're also going to be obviously having a drink. We're going to have a Christmas drink, which is fun. I've got a bottle of whiskey here, which I'm going to lift up so everybody can laugh at it. We've got ourselves a lovely bottle of Jack and Victor.
Okay.
Yeah, blended Scotch whiskey, selected by master tasters Jack Jarvis Esquire and Victor McDade. Osprey Heights, Craig Lang.
Very nice.
So for anyone,
have you tried it yet?
I haven't. No.
Oh.
So for anyone unfamiliar, Osprey Heights, Craig Lang, Jack and Victor. This is a
Pretty
product
much a still game.
for the TV show Still Game, which is classic Scottish comedy. As far as I'm concerned, never bettered Scottish comedy. I'm not so keen on the last two seasons.
I think your problem is that you need to look at Chewing the Fat, because Chewing the Fat, sorry. It paved the way for all Scottish comedy in that regard.
So we have a bottle of Jack and Victor
Ooh.
that we're going to bust open and have.
And I also brought a bottle of Gordon and MacPhail, which was a beautiful present I got from my friend Marshall for being in his best man party. And I've only had a nip out this, but it is fucking delicious. I think you'll really like this, actually. It's very nice. So this is a Cale Isla, matured on our own cask with spirits entrusted to us from Cale Isla Distillery. Sweet vanilla and dry cured meat aromas, peat smoke undertones are complemented by banana and apricot.
Yeah.
It tastes like whiskey to me. And it's 13 years, which is arguably too young for both of us.
I expect that to be obviously a good whiskey. I don't expect this to be a good whiskey. What we've had here, Johnny Mittenson said, blended. Don't turn your nose up at a blended whiskey.
I like Monkey Shoulder's a good blend.
Yeah, don't turn your nose up at a blended whiskey. When you think about it, like you can spend hundreds of pounds on a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue. Johnny Walker's a blended whiskey. Johnny Walker Blue is still probably the best whiskey I've ever drank, and it's a blend. So nothing inherently wrong with a blend, because a blend is a mix of single malts or different whiskies. Mm-hmm. It's not like a blend when you're 14 years old and you're mixing soft drinks. It's not just some mad scientist just throwing things together.
I mean, we could be drinking White Mackay Special, which is the wrong side of blended, and I used to drink that quite a lot when I was younger. And
this of course doesn't rely on being good. In fact, if you wanted to go and buy a bottle of this right now, you can't buy this anymore. It was a limited edition. It's obviously sold purely based on the name, and therefore the quality of this will be dreadful. I'm sure it will be absolutely dreadful.
I'm sure it'll be all right, but we'll find out shortly. Just want to say thanks very much to everybody for tuning in, and especially the fact there was a couple of people here waiting on us going live. That's pretty fucking mental. Big thanks to you all. It's beautiful to see you all.
Peter Wall is drinking Innocent Gun beer, and Dalwhinnie Wintergold whiskey.
Which beer are you drinking, Pete? Which one? Is it the lager, or are you drinking one of the rum cask finish, or the original ones, or because they do loads of different ones in there? Oh, Johnny, don't talk about grouse or bells, man. Put them both in the bin.
Not got the worst smell.
That smells nice.
Yeah.
Quite rich. Fiery, I think. Slangeva, cunts. Slangeva. You need to get Brian Babadondi on.
Who's this? What? Where?
Oh, David Yates. Brian Babadondi. It took me a wee second to click there. So, joke's on me.
Yeah, that's. I enjoy that show actually. Yeah,
We'll give this a wee try, see how we are.
not a bad colour.
You're letting it breathe.
Not the best smell.
It's drinkable,
It's smooth.
surprisingly.
Yeah, it's not too much of a punch in the face.
It's really nice.
Which I was
It
sent.
actually reminds me of Jura.
Yeah,
Quite a lot.
I was actually sent 2 bottles of whiskey from friends and fans over the Christmas period, and both of them were peaty punches in the face.
Oh.
Like mega peaty punches. One of them was the Balvenie Week of Peat, actually.
Oh.
Which
not tried that
again, a peaty punch in the face.
I think the thing is, if you get a peaty whiskey and you like it, you're only going to have a half anyway, because the point in the nip is that it burns you.
Yeah.
And then you go, that was nice and it definitely warmed me up, but my esophagus does not want more of that.
Yeah.
Of course you can't, Andy. You've went down the deep end, son. You
I
are.
heard what you've done, Andy.
You were like Neo standing in front of Morpheus, and you gubbed both the pills, son.
So just one more reminder, guys, before we do the sponsor thing. We are going to be playing the game tonight. We're going to be reeling off these cards, picking out 2 guitar players. We're going to argue over who we think is better, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create a poll, and you guys can vote on the poll. And we'll go with, I think, we might overrule you occasionally, but I would like to think that you're going to be going based on your opinions, but also our arguments that we make. So hopefully we'll be going with what you guys decide, and hopefully we're going to whittle this down to one guitar player who we can crown as the Guitar Souls Guitar Player of the Year.
Don't say guitar of the year. Come on. We are not a clickbait fucking 10 best article.
That's why no one watches us.
That's true. But we're not guitar.com, sadly.
Speaking of which, if you guys want to get more people involved in the show tonight, please do share this stream on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, anywhere. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Come and have a good time with us. It'll be fun. That was you, not me.
It was me. It's under my leg. That's why.
So, yeah, of course, this show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We have the Ormsby's behind us, and Rev Amplification. I've still not moved the Rev. The Rev is over there. Obviously, lost our New Year's gig. New Year's gig isn't happening now. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Nicola. We were hoping that maybe we could just move it south of the border. If we could just move the gig south, because then it would be okay. But no gigs for us. We actually found ourselves in an interesting position with it. On the day of rehearsals, the drummer was ill. Thought he had a cold. Turned out he had COVID. So we were going to have to cancel the gig anyway because he had COVID. But when we found that out, it was very much like, well, do we cancel the gig or do we wait a few days for them to cancel it? We went with the we'll wait for them to cancel it. So they let us down rather than us letting them down.
I mean, was it going to make any difference? Like, would you still have got if it was deposit, or would it have been an argument over fees or something? Is that what was going to?
Well, yeah,
make
we've
the
got a
difference?
deposit on it, and there's no way you can take a deposit on something and then you cancel and then keep the deposit. Whereas this way they cancelled and they'll be getting money from the government, I'm sure. So yeah, hopefully. Well, it's one of those things. Like the theory is, well, it's okay, guys. We'll still earn a little bit of money. It's not the full gig fee, but we'll earn a little bit of money. But then at the same time, like they are going to ask for the money back, aren't they? We can fight with them and say no, we're going to keep it and have no problems. But then you just don't get booked again. So,
But that in itself completely negates the point in a fucking deposit. Then,
yes.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thing about COVID's a really complicated one, because I've told this in the podcast a few times. Like there are arguments from the Competition Markets Authority that you don't have to. You're not necessarily entitled to keep a deposit if COVID's the reason why you can't fulfil a contract.
Yeah.
Because it counts as the contract being disrupted or something, and it's not fair. But it's just an argument you're going to have to make on every single individual basis if you really want to. And as you say, keep the deposit. Never get any more gigs.
Yeah.
Short term versus long term.
Exactly. So a bit of a mess, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it's not all that important in the grand scheme of things. But point is, the Rev is still over there from rehearsals, which and as you can see, the drum kit is spun round. We've got PA speakers out here and everything. We did a rehearsal without a drummer because he was ill. That was.
I would have thought you'd have been in the studio if you had not this studio, but like a rehearsal studio for your practices. No, just down here.
I've got this.
That makes sense, man. No, not in a stupid way.
Yeah.
That's cool.
The logic behind that is because it's Mel's band and she hires everybody to come in and play. we'd never ask anybody to contribute to the cost of rehearsals. So when she's doing rehearsals in studios in Glasgow, like she's footing the bill for those, and you do a few rehearsals for a gig, and suddenly like all the money she's making on the gig has actually gone on rehearsals. So this way, it's like we can rehearse in here. It's fine. We can do the job in here, and it doesn't cost us anything. So,
yes. Speaking of fucking COVID, Big Phil, I'm glad you're well, mate. I'm really glad to see that you're saying that you kicked its ass, and I didn't expect anything else. I really didn't. I'm sure there are plenty of people in the chat who are either themselves self-isolating, been pinged as a close contact, had their own run-in with it, or are just waiting on results and whatever else. Sure. So all of you, please stay safe, stay hydrated, look after yourselves, and do your best to stay away from fucking COVID, because it seems to be getting everybody.
The other interesting thing that happened
had your kids, had your wife.
We managed to get our second jabs.
Nice.
Finally. Melissa was booked in 2 days before me, I think. Yeah, 2 days before me. So she got hers, and she was sick as a dog. Like, it really, really knocked her for six in a way that I don't think I'd ever seen happen to her before. And that's awful, because it's very much like, on the one hand, I see you suffering, and that's terrible. On the other hand, I've got to go and get this thing in 2 days. So I'm seeing what my future holds. I'm staring down the barrel of what's in my immediate future. Didn't touch me. Absolutely no side effects whatsoever. I was very lucky.
It's so fucking weird how many people have had bad effects and who haven't. Like, we were talking about just before the start of the stream, Chris from my band.
Yep.
He's obviously tested positive. Every day we speak to him, like, how are you feeling? Absolutely fine. I have no symptoms and there is nothing wrong with me.
Yep.
I have no idea how I've tested positive. And it's fucking bizarre.
Andy's comment, remember the good old days when you'd only catch STIs at gigs?
Speaking for yourself, Andy.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
I never caught STIs at gigs. I was the one handing them out.
I'm a guitarist. I've never had my hole.
Right, so should we just blast through a couple of bits of fan mail and then we'll crack on with this game?
Yes.
So John King writes in and says, hi, I'm looking to order an Ormsby RC1. We actually sold a couple of Ormsby RC1s over the last... they had the 10% off.
You sold them, you mean?
Yeah, I guess I'm the one that owns one. I said again, I sold them. I've still not done my video where I talk about how great it is. So
you don't need to. It speaks for itself.
So the question here is, can you please tell me how you hang it on the wall bracket? As looking at the headstock, it doesn't look possible, but you have. I love the fact that you're asking that about the RC1, which has a headstock, and you're completely ignoring the fact that I have a headless guitar hung up on the wall next to it. Why wouldn't you be able to hang the Goliath? There's no problem with the Goliath hanging, is there?
No, nothing at all. So, as you might have seen in the past, I'm sure you posted it on social media when we used like a fork or a fucking spoon or something. The cheat that we've done with the Goliath, the 7-string's not too bad, with the wee spacers on the arms, the Hercules, what's the Goliath there? It all seems to be fucking gods and stuff, doesn't it? The Hercules ones grab the 7-string width neck perfect.
Yeah.
6-string, it's a little narrow, so we were putting like an Allen key or whatever through, and it was just sitting in the posts, which was still bringing the arms down so it wouldn't fall forward, and it was sitting great. But specifically about the RC1, there is more than enough contact where the volute is at the back of the neck for it to sit perfect without touching the strings, as you could probably see if you were close enough.
I do know well, to be fair, you remember when I went to hang it, I did say, is this going to hang okay? And the reason is because when you come off the neck and go onto the headstock, on the left-hand side, there's nothing that comes out. So you would think, obviously, it's just going to slip through. But because the Hercules stands aren't fixed and they rotate, it will rotate to the point of gravity that it needs to in order for it to hold its place. So yeah, absolutely no problem hanging that.
Absolutely.
Results may vary when hanging a headless guitar, but I can't see the RC1 being a...
But we've already gave out our trick. Nobody's going to have any problems.
Yeah, the headless is so light that it just floats.
Actually not far off. Saying that, like, your 7, your Goliath 7 and my Goliath 6, they are both like, they're like bits of paper. Right? But my new Goliath...
Heavy.
Don't think it's not heavy, but it's not chambered.
Heavier.
Definitely.
Yeah, not a heavy guitar.
Which is crazy when it's not heavy, but you still lift it and you go, oh, that's deceptive.
Yeah, that's not what I was expecting.
I'd see the point if we were lifting like a fucking cinder brick or something, you know what I mean?
Okay,
crazy.
We're going to go on with Sakari Kempis, who's writing in about Album Club, that thing that I cancelled.
Oh, you've got to get cancelled as well. Sakari, don't listen to him. We can bring it back at any time.
Yeah.
The power is in your hands, friends. Yeah. The power is in your hands. Hello there. I do like the idea of album club. However, I forgot to write a comment or a fan mail after I'd listened to the Charlie Hunter album, which is silly of me. I'm of course writing one now, but it's been over a week, I think, since I listened to the album. fair enough. Is there a group somewhere we could write a response, or should we stick to the fan mail? Well, it's probably a good
We've
thing.
got the Discord server.
I was just going to say, the Discord's pretty good and it gets a lot of conversation. I'm sure Levi can fire a link of it
I'll do
into
that
the
right
video
now.
and stuff. Levi Clay, Guitars and Games. Says games, he doesn't really play games. He likes to play Magic, which isn't a real game, and he plays consoles.
I've started the first Dark Souls.
But you still don't play consoles? You
I've
still
had
playing
my blast of
consoles?
it,
You're a
yeah.
peasant? I'm only kidding. Finley's been obsessed with computer games now, man. Like, see if he's not playing Minecraft, he's watching Minecraft videos.
Dork.
Constant. Aye. To the point where, like, he was crying the other day because he'd spawned so much stuff into his world that it crashed. Like, it was just lagging to death.
How the hell do I share the fucking...
The link?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm really shit with Discord. I'll continue reading this just now, though, for Sakari. I'm asking because I like listening, or I won't.
Sorry.
It's okay, Levi. I'm not trying to read it in.
Go.
Why don't you go to invite people?
Where?
Click that again. Second one down.
Yep,
In purple.
that's the button I was looking for.
I'll keep you right, son. Don't worry. I'm asking. This is Sakari's letter in again. I'm asking because I like listening to new music and recommending music in return. I think there's always an opportunity of finding something interesting in a genre artist one doesn't usually listen to or has never heard before. For example, what I do remember from listening to Charlie Hunter live album, I really liked the feel of a couple of songs, and a couple felt too technical, for lack of a better term, for me. But those that I liked, I wanted to listen to again and dive even more into. I didn't write my thoughts down immediately after listening, and that's why I'm trying to remember what I felt and can't remember the exact songs I like. To be fair to you, Sakari, that's kind of how you and I went with it, didn't we? Like, it's really good to enjoy it, and you can get into the albums and you can really give them a good listen, but it's not always the easiest to write down everything you were thinking and feeling at the time.
Yeah.
And I think music is so subjective that you can be in different moods and listen to the same music and have different feelings each time.
Sure.
Like have you listened to New Devon, The Puzzle?
No, I didn't realise it was out.
Yes, it's been out for a wee while. It's really interesting. Did you ever listen to, was it called DevLab? It was the it like a kind of noise project.
To be honest, I'll probably do a listening party of that over the coming days with Melissa. Because we've lost all our gigs, we've got nothing to do, so we'll just sit and listen to New Devon Townsend and tell me what we think about it.
The only thing that I can say is it's not a typical Devon. It's not a typical album. It is very much soundscape.
Okay.
With some weird layers and stuff in it. Like, it was really interesting to listen to, but there's not anything you can really grab onto.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is just let it play and ride it out.
Sure.
But it was cool. I really enjoyed it.
I'm looking forward to it.
But that's kind of what I'm leaning into as well. When I'm answering that, Sakari, that different moods you're in can mean such a different way of taking music.
Yep.
Like, there's music that I really enjoyed, and as I got older, I listened to the lyrics more and started crying every time I listened to them, which, sincerely, see, Pain of Salvation, A Trace of Blood. It's a song about him and his fiancée, or him and his partner, miscarrying a child, and the lyrics in it are so fucking sad. When I was younger, I felt it was sad, right? Yeah. But now that I have the weird wisdom of having had that like intimate relationship, and having like a child you're responsible for and someone that you love and that you see the frailty in, oh, it's scary, man. It's like it's weird to get a lump in your throat about a song based on something that you have absolutely no real life experience of. But anyway, now for something completely different, language talk. This has made me chuckle over the years a few times, so now I'll write it down for you for your English enjoyment. I think it's funny that in British there is spoken word of idea or idea, while it is written idea with an R at the end. Yes, an IDR. This note is coming from a Finnish native speaker with a relatively okay style in English. Finnish itself is funny because we should be pronounced as we Finns pronounce it. To someone who speaks English, it's quite hard. Let me try. Sorry, I've jumped a full line there.
Yeah.
Finnish in itself is funny because we pronounce words as they're written, or so we say. We don't have separate pronunciations. This is very difficult to understand from the perspective of other languages. If I try to explain how Sakari, my name, should be pronounced as we Finns pronounce it, to someone who speaks English, it's quite hard. Let me try. Pronounce sa, as in the first two letters, sarcastic. Ka, as in the first two letters of car, and re, as in the start of rigorous. So, Sakare. Did I kind of get that right the first time then? Sakari? Or Sakare?
Re.
Sakare?
Well, rigorous. Sakare.
Re. Sagare. I'm putting an accent on now and you can slag me for it.
Sakare.
Try my best. As a non-native speaker of English, my pronunciation is all over the place, and I've heard so many different accents early on, since being 8 or 9, when learning this beautiful language. I would say beautiful is a subjective thing. Sometimes some things I sound British, other times I sound very much like a non-native speaker. Some that I am, and at times I sound just incoherent. Same. And where we relate to this in the podcast, does Mike feel out of place outside Scotland as no one can understand what is coming out of his mouth? I'm just joking. Mike's a handsome bastard, and thanks to him I actually understand that accent well. Thanks very much. But that's true. There are a lot of language barriers that mean that I have to basically pretend that I'm putting on like a posh accent and slow down. So where I would usually be like, all right, man, what's happening? How you doing? I'd be like, hello, pleased to meet you. My name is Michael.
I still get to see both sides of that in you, because you do tone it down a lot on the podcast, and you do try and speak a little bit more clearly on the podcast.
A microphone in front of me, I seem to have developed almost like not a broadcasting voice, but a different persona of pronunciation.
So if you want real fun, I would recommend going and listening to Chris from Party Cannon. His accent it's not hard to understand, but the way he speaks it is. When we were in here filming, I was like, I hope somebody's gonna be subtitling this, because I've lived in Scotland for fucking 8 years, and honestly, sometimes when you're talking, I cannot understand a word you're saying.
Yes, there is a reason why we have subtitles on the majority of the Party Cannon studio videos and stuff, and that's not out of badness to Chris. As the festive time is upon us, may you enjoy it with your dearest. I'll tune into the next stream as a VOD if it's available. Cheers, kind regards, Saki, just to throw you off. Thanks very much, and that was a really good letter. I really appreciate it. It's really interesting. I've seen loads of things where people are like, English has the audacity to pretend that it's one language when really it's like 4 put together. Yeah. And it's so confusing. A lot of other languages are more straightforward. For whatever reason, the British, not the English, but the British have bulldozed their way through that English would be the main language. And why, I don't know, because it's got more confusing syntax than anything else I've ever understood.
Well, we were the leaders of industry around the world for a long time. So.
I think what you mean is we were horrible, overpowering bastards.
Owners of industry, yeah. Yeah, we forced our language on the world.
Riflers of industry?
Yeah, we forced our language on the world. And I've got to say, I'm quite happy with that, because I'd hate having to learn other languages.
I'd love
Being
to be
an
a polyglot.
English person,
I would love to be a polyglot.
I'm lazy. Learn?
Well, I mean, I kind of am, because if you want to consider that Scots has its own language, not just a dialect, then I speak Scottish and English.
I think Scots as a language requires a lot more. I don't think you use any traditional Scots.
I use traditional words, but not all that often.
Sure.
If I was talking to family and it was people who had grown up round a bit, like I would say scullery instead of kitchen.
Right.
So the scullery means like your kitchen, but your kitchen is actually your living room.
Right.
The shunky is your toilet. Like weird words that maybe don't come out every other day.
Sure.
But they are, you can get them in there, kind of thing. So you're right. It's not, I don't speak broad Scots and that's the only language I speak, but it isn't itself a language, and I will kill anyone who says it isn't. I will kill you to death.
Matt, Tom's lawyers happened. I'm just responding to a comment. Let's read Jeffrey's question.
Yes, thanks very much for writing in, Jeffrey. Hello, gents. I apologise for not getting back to you on your album club recommendations. Don't worry about it. Life kicked me in the teeth the last few weeks. I was unable to find the time to give each record multiple listens. I'm really sorry to hear that, Jeffrey. I hope everyone's okay, mate.
Yeah, I hope you're well.
Yeah, definitely. If there's anything we can do, you know, to reach out, even if it's just would you listen to me? Like, that's my favourite thing in the world, is people just reaching out and then being like, oh, cool, like you actually message back. Yeah. I don't always get time to, and I'm sure you're the same. But
I've
the point
almost
is there.
completely given up on trying to keep in touch with people now.
It's
As
hard.
you can see, I've got 134 emails that need dealt with. My Facebook Messenger is just unread message after unread message.
Is that why you started texting me these days?
Yeah. Because I look at my Facebook messages and it gives me anxiety.
I've been there.
Actually, usually because when I message you, I'm driving, so it's just so easy to say, "Hey Siri," and then dictate what I want to say to you.
Fair enough. It sounds like nobody else responded, so I'll respect that and try to gracefully let the album club die. It's not so much dead, it just smells funny, and we need to prod it every now and then to check that it hasn't passed away.
To be fair, let's be realistic. I said what I said, hoping that would encourage people to write in some emails, and a couple of people wrote in emails.
It is. It's in a coma.
Yeah.
All right? But it's medically induced. We can bring them out at any time. That said, the Danny Gatton record didn't resonate with me.
Okay, we're done with Jeffrey's comment. Let's go on.
Calm down, right? He absolutely plays like a madman, and the only other player I can think of with the same sort of energy is John Five, maybe. Yeah?
I know what he means. The reckless abandon thing.
I like
Danny
that.
plays in a
I'm
field
just
where
going for
reckless abandon works. John plays in a field where reckless abandon or lack of control doesn't really work. At least not for me. But we'll argue that point when his card comes up.
Oh, you gave it away. There's a Danny in there. There's Danny in every pile. Not my cup of tea, but very impressive. Scale, on the other hand, blew me away. I'm listening. I could never quite predict what was coming next. Absolute brilliance that kept me on the edge of my seat from beginning to end. That's really good, Jeffrey. And I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because obviously I recommended it. And my friend that wrote it, Tony, sent me a message and he was like, thanks very much for the shout out and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I gave you a shout out because the album's fucking class, like for no other reason. It's amazing. I want to see my friends do well.
Sure.
But don't think that I did it because it was some sort of vanity pat in the back for you. I did it because I am genuinely taken aback at how good your album is. I didn't expect it to be bad, but it's exactly as you put it there, Jeffrey. Like, you don't know what's going to come next, and it's such a almost genre bending album that pretty much everybody who has reviewed it or listened to it that I've spoken to has went, I don't really know where to place it. Like the closest you can get is like post black prog, maybe. Post shoegaze? I don't know. I'm in the States on the West Coast and converted to GBP for your reference. The prices of whiskey are a bit inflated here. Macallan 12 is in the $50 per 750ml bottle, and it's probably the most ubiquitous single malt in my area. For reference, Jack Daniels and Maker's Mark are about $18 a bottle. That's not too bad. When I was in the States, the last twice I've been in the States, I was always interested in liquor stores at what prices were going to be, especially for Scottish whiskey, because I could be home or in Scotland and see them in the supermarket and know the rough prices of these whiskies and what ones are regarded as good and bad and what's the good buys. And then you go into other countries or other places and you see it and you go, who the fuck is paying that for that?
Yeah, well, you have to remember, like, Jack Daniels, Maker's Mark, Americans, and therefore $18 a bottle makes total sense. We'll pay probably £25 for those over here.
Yeah.
Which is, what, $32 maybe, something somewhere in that region?
Yeah.
I'm just going to respond to a comment. John, yes, we both watch Rusty's channel. Rusty's a friend of the show, and we'll talk more about him when his card comes up.
Yep. That's the podcast he does with Zachary Adkins as well. Zach is also an Ormsby close friend of ours, which is pretty fucking cool to say. It's a very good podcast. Sorry, I want to get your take on Glenn Fricker and Finn McKenty's take on bands in the modern era. They take the stance that bedroom musicians in the rock and metal genres are the future, largely due to the high cost of living in much of the world and because it's easier to market and relate to an individual than it is a band. I agree that it's easier for me to dislike Lars Ulrich than it is to dislike the entirety of Metallica, so I would like the two of you to weigh in on the future of bands versus composers, a la Lucas Mann and Al Moomin, in the context of modern music production.
So I don't keep up to date with everybody's opinions on things, music and metal and home recording, and I have to say, when it comes to Glenn Fricker, I've consumed a fair amount of Glenn's stuff. In fact, some of you may have seen I do have a fucking subscribe t-shirt, and I've worked with Glenn on some projects. If that's his opinion on things currently, it's certainly changed from where it was when I certainly remember his opinions. He may now be acknowledging that bedroom musicians are the future, largely due to the high cost of living and all of that. But his argument that I've always seen has been that it shouldn't be. His argument has always been that you should record real drums, and his argument has always been that you should go into studios and pay people like him to make records for you.
But he's also just
having not really made any records that sound any good.
Yeah, the thing he's famous for is having an argument with a band years ago. I'm
Trapped.
No, it was Trapped. No, like a production for a band that they didn't like his mix or something.
Oh, that was he did the Queensryche thing, but he wasn't famous for that.
Well, I mean, that's like the only thing that I can think of that he's had his name on, that he's worked on professionally, that's of note, and not because he did a good job.
Yeah.
Not being a shithead, just saying that, like, that doesn't make you famous, that makes you infamous.
Yeah, Glenn is well known for doing the same thing as I do, which is being angry about things. He's just got a higher production value.
Has he?
His videos
Really?
They're better produced than mine are, you know.
That the guy that said you should go out and buy a Behringer desk because you can mix two mics and the preamps sound great?
Yeah.
You don't remember that video?
Yeah, it's the same old thing. It's kind of like what we were talking about last episode, where I talked about Andertons, and I was saying that, you know, they do shootouts with gear, but they only shoot out the stuff that they sell. So no matter what wins, they still win, type thing. And the thing with Glenn is the same. He's talking about products that he has access to all the time, rather than things that he's going out and spending money on. The only things that man goes out and spends money on is things that he knows he's going to be able to trash, right? The Line 6 stuff, anything, the honest reviews. Like, bragging about the fact that you're doing honest reviews that you've paid for the stuff for should really shine a light on how questionable all of your other content is.
Aye. Okay.
Not that, and again, not that I dislike Glenn, because at the end of the day, like, I work with Glenn on stuff. The point is, like, we all need to know and understand what it is, what YouTube is, and what the content that you're consuming is. So I agree with Glenn, and I agree with Finn on this idea of that's the future of music and the future of music production and things for the reasons listed. You can't argue with the fact that being an individual composer who can write and record in his bedroom is much more viable than being a band that needs to go and record in the studio, because guess what? People don't fucking buy albums anymore. So if you want to be that band that, you know, throws loads and loads of money down the drain so you can put out a vanity project, I think that inevitably just leads to your creative differences, the arguments and shit will, because you're arguing about money, but you try and convince yourself it's something else.
Okay, fair enough. I would say, I'm just going to read Johnny's point very quickly. He said his opinion as of today was that bands working together to compose will always be better than one person composing alone for a band. I don't know if I would say that's a definite. I would think there's probably going to be more band cohesion if everybody's putting towards the music. There's definitely many hands make light work, but also too many cooks spoil the broth. So it depends entirely on the band, the music. Again, to go back to somebody we just mentioned, Devin Townsend.
Yeah.
If there's one guy that can write music and do it all himself, it's Devin.
Yeah.
And he does. Like, he does. But he also has done it for so long and has his own studio and his own sound that people are used to. And like an incredible vision for what he wants to do.
Other people bringing their sound in is fine, and it works. It often works when that's what the band does. But when you have a strong creative individual in a band, letting them do the bulk of the work is not necessarily a bad thing. I don't think. I think okay, so we talked about Foo Fighters on the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's now a band in the traditional sense of the word, where everybody's, you know, really, really muddles in on things. But that first record was just Dave.
All Dave.
So I think that's a great example of a band where they work better as a band, because I'm not crazy on that first Foo Fighters record.
Really? To be fair, you're taking a guy who played drums solo, and he wrote, and it's a belter album. I get that in the context of the rest of the Foo Fighters stuff, it's maybe not brilliant.
Sure.
But that's, I mean, it's kind of like, I would even say like kind of grungy pop. I think Dave has always had something special in my mind.
Sure.
He's always been one of these guys that can
think
just do everything.
More special in a band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I love In Your Aura.
Yeah.
Both.
But then
discs.
on the flip side, you've got Dave Mustaine, who I don't want him to sit down and write with everybody that's in the band. That's not what I want to hear. I like Dave Mustaine's vision, you know. I like other guitar players coming in and peppering, you know, their icing on top of things, but let Dave do that writing.
It looks like they're arguing about Tonewood in the chat, and I'm not getting involved. Love you guys. Keep it to yourselves. Wood does affect tone.
Wood does influence the electronics and how the strings move. It does.
If you're playing with super high gain through a modeler, you probably won't notice much of the difference, but it does have a difference.
Yeah.
How much of a difference it has is probably way more subjective than you're going to be bothered about.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm being like really pernickety on that, right? I'm going to make the argument that it doesn't matter, but it also does. Wood does influence those things, because wood isn't a solid material. It absorbs vibrations. If you have pickups that are in a guitar, they will absorb vibrations, and if you have strings that are attached to that wood will absorb those vibrations. And you know, depending on the resonance of said instrument, the sympathetic resonance with the things that are vibrating, that can kill off sustain, or it can add sustain. Depending on, you know, what you're playing as well. Like, so you can get really fucking nerdy with that stuff.
100%. And you're right, I'm a coward before. 100%, my friend. 100%. I'll go back to Jeffrey's comments here. So hopefully that answered what you were saying. I kind of get where Glenn and Finn are coming from. There's way more opportunity when your overheads are cut down to one person who's probably doing it in their bedroom. And if you can work smart with the stuff that you have, like, I know lots of people that can make a great sound of not much gear. Martin Miller's a great example of somebody that can make gear.
There's a lot more gear now.
Yeah, of course, but my point is that you were telling me that the first album was recorded on a pod.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing. The people out there have went, I'm going to read the manual and actually know what I'm doing with this piece of kit, and I'm going to actually work on it.
And then when he got his Axe effects, he went out of his way to what is it? You don't profile on the Axe effects, but you can tone match. You tone match.
Right.
So when he got his Axe effects, he tone matched his pod tone, because that was his tone. That was his sound. So yeah.
Phil's dropping mic drops.
Yeah.
I mean, Phil does build guitars, so he's going to have a very strong opinion on it, if not something else to back up his strong opinion. But again, we're getting into the subjective side of it. It's like people talking about tone being in the fingers. Of course, how you play and your connection to the guitar, etc., will have a difference. How hard you hit the string, your plectrum, the material of the plectrum, whatever. It's part of it. It's not the thing that changes it. It's not the one fundamental.
Well, and of course, here's the biggest thing, right? We've all played many Strats or many Les Pauls, and that was fast. We've played many Strats. We've played many Les Pauls. We've played some that were duds. Yeah, all made from the same wood. But there's this. I don't know why people have this idea that mahogany sounds a certain way. All right, largely it sounds a certain way, but different pieces of mahogany will resonate in different ways. You get good pieces of mahogany, you get bad pieces of mahogany.
Yes.
Hello, Princess.
We're being absolutely spoiled here. As usual, Melissa's being a total queen.
Thanks, Queen.
Thank you very much. So, I'll let you pour.
Yeah, that's good.
And you can have some of this Gordon McPhail.
Yeah. Good point. Don't drop mics. They're expensive.
Well, it depends how you drop them. I mean, everybody wants to drop the house mic because it's probably covered in cholera and death. Jeffrey's last point was non-related, but my son has been waking in the middle of the night due to sudden noises. Oh, and I've begun to leave Party Cannon playing in his room as he falls asleep, and that's allowed me a solid 8 hours sleep. That's because you can't hear him screaming. Perhaps you should consider that for your marketing, Mike. Love from the States, Jeff.
Party Cannon, so boring it sends children to sleep.
So chaotic it sounds like white noise to children. It puts babies to sleep just like the sound of airplanes.
This is a much paler whiskey. It's got a nice
beautiful.
sniff on it.
It's really nice.
It's funny because I probably wouldn't have used this word to describe it, but then you read the blurb for it. But there's a meatiness to it, and I don't mean like chunkiness. I mean meat.
Aye, I get you.
Like a jerkiness to it.
It's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really, really nice, man. It was a really nice gift. Credit to Marshall. Thanks very much, mate. So we're getting to enjoy it because it's not very often I'll drink these things. So just when we're talking about marketing, right, and this is driving here, I was like, what alternative universe have I fucking fallen into? James Monteith from Tesseract was streaming on the Tesseract Twitch, and he was streaming the last Party Cannon music video, and he was jamming into it, and I'm like, there is no way the guy in Tesseract actually likes that. There's no way. But at the same time, James is also involved in Hold Tight PR, which is the PR company that Party Cannon are now working with. So that could be part of that. But if that was genuine listens, I'll fucking take that. Aye.
Just like the music.
To be fair, man, how can you not like the video? Yeah. If any's haven't seen it, I know I'm blowing my own trumpet here, but fucking hell. Bailey and Colin, Scapegoat Boys, take a fucking bow.
Right, shall we crack into these cards?
Even Danny Filth liked it, and we didn't even tell him he was going to be involved.
Yeah.
That was not a sketchy one, but it was like
you knew it was going to happen.
I knew he was going to find out, but what his reaction was going to be would have been.
Well, so here's the thing, isn't there? There's the public opinion, and then there's the private opinion. It doesn't matter how much he hated it. It was clearly a video that was made in good faith. So for him to have anything other than a positive public reaction would make him look like a dick. So I'm sure he probably did like it. I don't know.
We could have done even better. He could have messaged privately and been like, let's start a fake internet beef and get some real marketing going. Because that would have been...
Yeah.
I mean, we did actually, and this is kind of almost a spoiler, we had intentions of trying to plan something like this, just something candid and stupid, had we made it to Bloodstock, because they were playing. And we were going to have some sort of staged or daft, like, I don't know, like a run-in backstage or something.
The only problem with stuff like that is I can't see people like someone like Danny Filth and Cradler Filth being interested in that, because it's them helping you, and there's no you helping them in that scenario. They're a big band.
They're a very big band, but I don't think it's all one way. I know they're a big band and they've got an established fan base and whatever else, but they don't have the same viral marketing. I certainly haven't had since they did their Jesus is a Cunt t-shirts. Fair?
Yeah, quick question. What's your opinion on Moore gear? Cheap. Yeah, I wouldn't. It's nothing I'm never going to go for it as my main thing.
The GE300 is really good, but the majority of the Moore gear is just Electro Harmonics stolen. Some of the actual... Remember we covered this? Some of the PCBs actually had Electro Harmonics details printed onto them. So a lot of it is... As is like... Is it Bayang? And there's a couple of other brands that have came off of like Banggood or AliExpress or whatever. Like they are just... There's one... What was the one I saw the other day? There was one that was like... It's like a horrendously obvious... Is it the King of Tone copy, maybe?
Johnny Mittens has joined the Discord.
Yes, Johnny.
Say hello
Oh,
to Johnny.
you know what it is? There's a KSR Aries. You know the is it the Aries?
Oh, Kyle.
What's the but what's the preamp pedal? It's the series.
Yeah.
CERES, the series. There's one of those, and I mean it's the same pedal, but this company, all they've done is change the name on it and changed the actual product name, but it's cut out the same and backlit the same. It's the exact layout.
Yeah.
And yet, Joyo's one as well, Phil. You're right.
Yeah.
The stuff's not bad, but it's a cheap knockoff of good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, so obviously you chime in a lot on these sorts of things, Stephen, and I'm going to acknowledge that, like, obviously I don't know you like one of my best friends. I don't know what your financial situation is, but I can assume based on the types of gear that you're asking about, you're not in a position where you have tons and tons of disposable income to just piss away on stuff.
Same.
So when I say I don't rate the Moore stuff, I'm saying that from a perspective of it's not what I'd use, but I have the disposable income to use whatever the best options are, right? For the money that you pay for the Moore stuff, you get a lot of bang for the buck. So I have compliment them on that.
The Moore Radar maybe still is, but when it launched was definitely one of the cheapest and best IR loaders you could get in a pedal board form, and it was like a half pedal size. You could load your own IRs onto it. Are you bringing out your smorgasbord of pedals? Oh aye, cheap but good.
See, I have a Moore pedal, and
That was on your board for some time.
It was sat there for some time. It's never been on my board.
Oh, is it not? What am I thinking of then?
I don't know. Well,
disregard me.
This is wild because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10.
The Mod Factory.
11. There's 11 modulation effects in this. So I, for 30 quid, 40 quid, I was like, well, I've got to have one of those just to sit in a cupboard. You never know when you're gonna need one of those. I also picked up a TC Electronic Mimic Doubler Mini, the mini one. The mini one's garbage.
I've not heard great things about both of them, but
the only reason you'd want that is you'd want the full size one so you can run it in stereo. Because in stereo, why not? You're creating two different signals. Yeah. Whereas creating two different signals and then having those two different signals come at you from the same place doesn't really create a sense of size.
It's just summed mono, which is just mono.
Yeah.
Quite a few good comments going on here. So Johnny had used the radar. Everything I heard about it, I've no hands-on experience, being honest, but I've heard great things about it. The Devin Townsend one, the Echo pedal, was, I think it was like almost a competitor to like the Eventide stuff and stuff. You like that?
That's obviously a much better whiskey than that.
It's nice, isn't it? I don't know if I'd say much better, but it's a single malt.
It's a much better whiskey. It's a much better whiskey. Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Mike. Thank you for that, Marshall.
That's beautiful, isn't it? The only thing is that's the kind of whiskey that goes up the back of your nose.
Yeah, that's Well, so I'm not big on really peaty whiskies. I'll have a dram.
Aye.
Whereas that's lightly peated.
Still drinkable.
Yeah, so it's there. You can tell it's there. Nice, yeah, definitely.
You get the smooth and you get the fire.
Yes. So should we talk about the game?
Yes. Let's do it.
So Mike didn't want to do this. He wanted to do the game, but I did just want to briefly talk about categories of things that we'll talk about when we're talking about these guitar players, right?
I was all for doing it in like a total as a state of anarchy. You wanted to have rules.
Well, I think we should both be trying to look at or name what their best song, piece, solo will be for people to go and check out, because we're trying to encourage people to go and check these artists out, right? I think we're talking about how influential they are as a player is going to be quite important. But that's like, because then when you do that, it's like, well, Jimi Hendrix is always just going to come number one, right?
Sorry, just to interrupt, my mate's just texted me. I don't think he's in the live chat, but he's definitely watching, because he just texted me saying, how many bits of ice are in the whiskey? And then, where's the hot sauce? And I'll be down to take all whiskey off you. Ian, you will not, son. You will not. There are 3 pieces in this.
Yeah, 3 tiny pieces.
But, I mean, I'll keep you half. Since it's you.
So,
And the hot sauce isn't here because my guts are still in turmoil. However, at one point it will appear here.
Yeah.
He won't know about it and he will be made to eat some with me.
Well, we got kind of lucky actually because, like, obviously Melissa's gigs got cancelled. I completely forgot when we booked this. Today's a Wednesday. Like, we should be doing Broadway Babies at Riding Rooms, and I was like, "Fuck, sorry, babe. I've booked a live podcast." And she was like, "Oh, it's fine. I'll just stay in town." And I was like, "Well, just get an Uber home. Like, we're going to lose half of the gig money doing it, but fuck it. Like, just get an Uber home." Then I was like, "Well, actually, you know what? I won't drink. We'll just do hot wings. That could be what we'll do on this Wednesday." But yeah, when gigs got cancelled, I was like, "Yeah, I can have a drink."
I just
I didn't have a single drink at Christmas.
it was the same. I had some Prosecco and I had a beer because I was working Boxing Day on the 27th.
Yeah.
So, and I was ill at work on the 26th, and I phoned saying, "Is there any chance I can go home, man? I'm fucked. Can we get cover?" And as soon as I phoned, I was like, "By the way, I'm not hungover. I didn't have a drink yesterday. This is not me taking the piss. I am genuinely ill."
Yeah.
And the thing that saved me, as far as I can tell, in terms of reputation, is the fact that I have obviously had ongoing stomach issues the last couple of weeks.
Sure.
So, anyway, I didn't go home. Things went well, and I'm sorry. I seem to be constantly dragging us away from playing your card game.
The other thing that we should be considering is, you know, which of these, if we could take a magic pill and be able to play like that player,
would we?
Yeah, like
Okay.
which one would we rather be able to play like?
Right.
Because there's going to be people that have had minimal influence in the grand scheme of things. Like I'll tell you now, Ron Jarzonbeck isn't in the pack. I almost put him in it.
I'm going home.
But you know, he's had minimal influence compared to, say, Malmsteen. But
I get what you're saying. Like, who has? I mean, if we're going to talk about influence, we're probably going to end up saying like Eric Clapton. Despite the fact that I would be like, I hate Eric Clapton.
he's not in here.
But you know my point. Like, if
I tried to make it as metal as possible. There's only, I think, 4 people in here that aren't metal guitarists.
Danny Gatton's one of them.
He's not.
Because he's got a metal plate on his guitar he gets away with.
I didn't put him in there. So, do you want to cut the pack?
Sure. One other thing, by the way, you know what else I got for Christmas? Grow your own Naga chilies, and they are over 1 million
That wasn't
Scovilles.
what I expected when you said grow your own.
Grow your own. I've got my own Willie. Grow your own chilies, and I guarantee you, once they have grown, I'm making a hot sauce out of them, and you and I are going to do an episode of this eating the hot sauce.
I'm game with that.
Not ones. Right, and I'm going to take one off the top.
Cut again. Or whatever you like.
Let's go here.
Okay.
Right.
So we've got 2 guitar players. Who have you got?
Michael Ackerfeld.
This was the first card that I wrote. This one here.
Oh,
Eric Johnson, and one of the people that's not a metal player.
you would write that because of the strat, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking about influential. Influential in what degree?
So I'm just going to create a poll.
Is this basically just going to be metal top trumps? Aye.
Yeah.
Cool.
We've got Eric Johnson. I'm going to butcher Michael's.
And
surname.
Michael Ackerfeld.
Michael, spell his surname's on there.
AKER
Yeah.
FELDT.
No, that's not Michael, right?
That's not Michael.
M-I.
MIKAEL. Michael Ackerfeld. Thanks everybody for joining us, by the way. I'm going to continue to say it for anybody that's tuning in late and whatever else. Like, it boggles my mind that people will take time out of their day, not on a Monday that we usually schedule, to come and spend time with us. And it's greatly appreciated.
So what's your gut instinct on this?
Influential to music demographic in a whole?
No discussion at this point. Literally just gut instinct. What's your gut?
Eric Johnson.
My gut is also Eric Johnson.
Household name.
There's
not a single person you can think of that probably doesn't know or hasn't heard Cliffs of Dover.
But it's such a like, this is the fun of shuffling the deck like this.
Yes.
I would happily be either of these men. I would happily be able to play like either of these men. I love Michael, and I actually think he's more influential in terms of a sound that has then influenced other people to do sounds. Because I can think of lots of people that try and sound like Opeth.
Aye, not only his vocals but his guitar.
I can't think of anybody that actually sounds like Eric Johnson. Other than, of course, Joe Bonamassa, who stole all of his licks. So Eric Johnson influenced Joe Bonamassa.
And Joe Bonamassa influenced every blues lawyer on earth, therefore he wins. Have you read that? Like, there's a post on Facebook talking about like the terminology of blues lawyer, and it's like breaking down essentially anybody that has like lots of money and buys lots of expensive equipment, but only plays like enthusiastically with no real like aim. Maybe plays at pub gigs and stuff.
It's an interesting comment from Evo.
Mm-hmm.
A with the dot on top is pronounced O, so it's Okerfeld.
Sorry, Michael Ockerfeldt.
There you go.
Michael Ockerfeldt.
We learn something new every day.
Fun fact, I've saw Opeth and I saw Bloodbath on the same lineup when Michael Ockerfeldt was doing the vocals for them, and I've never seen a more boring man on stage. Actually, that's a lie. David Draymond.
My discussions with Zeke Sky. Why give Zeke Sky why give him the attention he so desperately craves?
Who's Zeke Sky?
I was going to say internet nobody, but I'm an internet nobody in the grand scheme of things.
I mean, so am I. I forgot to play that game.
Somebody that's more interested in showing his body off on Instagram than his actual playing.
Tried
to throw shade at me. I can't remember what for.
Yeah. Showing off his body. He's not got fucking body hair like this, has he? Dick.
So,
look at the line on my neck. I didn't even fucking realise where I've shaved. There's just a line of hair. Jesus Christ.
What would you recommend people go and check out of Michael Ackerfeld?
Where do you start?
I know, and that's why he is actually, to me, a serious contender in this discussion. Michael has recorded more music that I would if you were to weigh up everything he's recorded versus everything Eric's recorded, Michael has recorded more good music.
I'm going to... What Opeth album am I going to say?
Watershed.
That starts off with Coil and then goes into...
Lotus Eater.
Yes, yeah. That's entirely...
Yeah, Watershed.
Told me time.
Yeah.
Told me lies.
That album from start to finish would be hands down where I'd recommend people go. If I was going for a single track, it would always be Ghost of Perdition.
It's funny, it's exactly what I was thinking of there. Just the...
There's so... That track is just... There's so much that happens on it. It goes through so many vibes.
Sorry.
But yeah, ultimately, this has to come... For me, this has to come down to who... Taking that magic pill, who would I be able to... If I could play like one of these people tomorrow, who would it be? And I'm going to have to go with Eric Johnson. I have an Eric Johnson strat hanging behind me. Like, I love Eric Johnson.
Right, well...
And I said he was the first card that I wrote.
I'm going to split it in the middle, right? Chops, Eric Johnson.
Yep.
Actual musicianship and songwriting, Michael Ockerfeldt. Done.
I do need you to pick one of them.
Right, Michael Ockerfeldt.
Who's the winner?
Because chops mean fuck all in this world. If you're not a good songwriter, you're not keeping up.
Well, fortunately, we're going to go with the poll on this one.
Fuck y'all and fuck you.
But it's not a slight
I'm going to set the rules, then I'm going to continually move the goalposts.
It's not a slight on Michael because
no, it's not.
One of my all-time favourite, I've told the story on the podcast of him being sat behind me at the Marshall 50th anniversary gig, and being around him was the only time I've ever been starstruck around someone. So like I love him, but I would rather be able to play like Eric Johnson tomorrow because then I could go and do something with that.
But you know what I think is mental, right? Like I can't imagine Michael being like prima donna or anything. I can imagine if you met him in person, he would just be himself. He just seems really down to earth and modest. So the idea of you fangirling with him when you've sat in the same room as guys with like big personalities like Zakk Wylde.
Yeah, I sat in a room with Zakk Wylde that day.
You know what I mean? Like it's silly. Right. Am I splitting splitting it? I was just going for the top.
Or
Skiminy Crickets. I'll do this one.
Okay. I'll go for this one.
Okie dokie.
All right, who have you got?
Misha Mansour.
Andy James. There is a discussion to be had there, isn't there? There is a discussion.
Especially at the moment. I mean, obviously Andy's making big strides now with the Five Finger Death Punch and playing a lot of big shows and potential for... I mean, not to say he wasn't a big name beforehand in like the guitar market, but that's a big band to join. Versus Misha, who's almost credited as like the single-handed guy that brought Gent to the world, even though he wasn't in Meshuggah.
Yeah, there's no arguing, I think, that Misha is the more influential guitar player. Yeah, he has helped to pioneer and popularise a sound.
I wonder who sold more signatures. Because Andy's been selling a lot.
Definitely Misha.
Think so?
It's more about
you know what annoys me
availability.
You know what annoys me more about that, though?
What?
That Misha's signature isn't the same guitar he actually plays, whereas Andy's is
the
actual one.
Misha's got like 13 or 14 Jackson signatures, and Jackson's a Fender company, so those guitars you can get them anywhere, whereas Andy played the ESP, LTD stuff, which you could get, but they were in much more limited numbers, and now he's playing the Kiesel stuff, and that's all made to order, so Misha will definitely sell more
fair. I was just thinking the LTD stuff versus Misha's signature Jacksons, but okay, fair enough.
I imagine this is going to be a tough fight in the comments. Who would you rather be able to play like?
Andy.
Same.
Because... And this is, again, not slighting Andy, like, building rhythm chops is much easier than being super tight on leads.
Yeah.
Like so much easier.
And
in my mind.
if you were to recommend some, like, what should people go and check out of Misha's? Oh, we didn't do that of Eric Johnson. If you want to go and check out some Eric Johnson,
Cross it over and nothing else matters.
I like the Venus Isle album. It's got loads of great tracks on it. But
I don't know any other Eric Johnson.
No?
Quite honestly, no.
Go and listen to Venus Isle, the record Venus Isle.
That's your album club for the week.
Some really great playing on there. Really good playing on there.
Cool, I'll check that out. For Misha, I really liked the Bulb demos before Periphery 1 came out, which was like all the bedroom recorded Misha riffs, and some of the early vocals on it, but like Cases of Ball and Spencer. No, it wasn't Spencer, sorry, I'm talking shite. It was, who sung in Monuments? When you went to see them? Chris Barretto.
Yeah.
Chris Barretto. He was on a few of the tracks as well. At that point, one of the tracks that came out had Chris Barretto's vocals over it, and they actually stole no, they didn't steal. That's not true. It was uploaded to YouTube with the music video from All Is Full of Love by Bjork. And I remember seeing it, and I didn't know it was Bjork's video, and remember thinking, "Fuck me, what a cool video for a band that don't really have much out." Because essentially, it's two cyborgs or two like animatronic.
It's Bjork.
Aye, it's mental. Hard to say because I don't know hundreds of Andy's stuff, but I know a lot of Periphery.
I like it's funny. I like Misha's stuff when other people start putting their influence on things. So I would go for I'd go for Alpha and Omega.
I've still not really got into that album. I know that you gave it a real listen.
Or the Haunted Shores album. But again, that's him and Mark Holcomb.
Yeah, fair.
I was going to put Mark in here, but it turned out limited amount of cards. I had to really be quite careful with some of the picks. So, given the choice, I would recommend going and checking out the Haunted Shores EP for Misha.
That's the one that's got Bomb Fair on it, isn't it?
There's a lot of Norwegian black influence on there, which is kind of cool. With Andy,
was there not a Haunted Shores track made it onto Peripheries?
Is that the case?
Hailstan? Is it not a? Is it?
I only listened to Hailstan once.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good album to get into after a couple of listens because it's so long and it's so proggy. It takes a bit to get.
When it comes to Andy has the problem of being an instrumental guitar player who releases instrumental music, which obviously doesn't have lyrics. So remembering names of songs can be tricky.
Mm-hmm. Sentient Glow.
All of his albums are great. All of Andy's albums are great. I've transcribed most of them. I'm always going to have a soft spot for his self-titled album. His self-titled album that he put out, which is the one with the big A logo on the cover, because that was the first transcriptions I did for Andy. I think that was my first, maybe second time being listed in liner notes for an album as well.
Constant name drops.
So I have a special attachment to that album. So I do love that album. For me, this is an easy one though. Like, given the choice, I'd rather play like Andy James. I'd rather have one of Andy James's signature guitars. Misha's definitely more influential, but I would still rather be Andy James and influence. And saying that, Andy's now in Five Finger Death Punch, probably the biggest metal band in the world after Metallica. So,
and that's how I kind of started this. I mean, it's not to argue that Periphery aren't big, but they're not selling out the same size of stadiums and stuff that Five Finger Death Punch are. Sentient Glow on Hailstan is a Haunted Shore song.
Right.
Originally, it was Chris Barretto that done the vocals on it.
Okay.
And it's a banger of a tune. So, in fact, I'm pretty sure it's on the EP you're talking about.
Sure.
Right,
tracks
cool.
I like on there are Harrison Fjord.
Harrison Fjord. That's a cool name for a song, isn't it?
I like that album so much, actually. I bought the transcriptions of it from
She Hams?
She Hammond.
Yeah,
to check out what was going on.
And what was your thoughts of the tabs?
I didn't learn any of them. I looked at one riff and went, okay, cool. This isn't.
Did you look at the tabs and criticise them as you would usually?
I've done that with some Sheet Happen stuff, yeah, but not that one. Because, well, it's easy for me to criticise the Symphony X one because I know how the stuff is played, whereas I can't criticise the Haunted Shore stuff. I wanted to check it out to see how the stuff is played.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So Andy James for me.
I say Andy wins.
Andy wins in the poll as well.
Not really an argument there, is there?
72.
Sorry, Misha.
He's definitely an influential guitar player, and yeah, again, it's an unfortunate.
So influential he can make or break businesses.
It's unfortunate for him to be in that one because he probably would have beaten a lot of other people.
It's a live stream, so allegedly. I'll keep it safe.
I mean, he absolutely has said that he can make or break your brands. I've seen the emails from Patrick Kushmid. So
I remember you were telling me this, but again, I'm saying allegedly because I am not first party to this.
Sure.
Trying to be safe. Right, let's just pick. This will do. I'm going for this one. I've got a good feeling about it.
Was it a good one?
Doesn't matter what you pick.
All right.
I mean, it probably does.
Who have you got?
You tell me who you got first.
Alex Skolnick.
Oh, you know what, that's probably not fair, but this is going to be a fantastic argument. So you've got Alex Skolnick versus Marty Friedman.
Huh.
Fuck me. Two of what should be the big four.
Yeah.
I know that Testament don't really count as being part of the big four, but Alex Skolnick is the tightest guitarist I've ever seen live for lead guitars. At the time he played Heritage guitars, which I didn't know at the time was obviously the old Kalamazoo Gibson factory. At one point when I saw him, this was on the, is it More Than Meets the Eye? Was the comeback album? I will look it up. It was when they just first kind of got back together in the last 10, 15 years. More Than Meets the Eye is the first track on it. I can't remember the name of the actual album. But when I saw them, I kid you not, Alex Skolnick played his solos so perfect, I actually thought he was miming.
He's
to the pinch harmonics.
Yeah.
And it was only when he was like throwing picks out and you could hear like his finger noise on the strings and stuff. I'm like, that guy's actually playing these fucking songs. Like, but it was, I can't put forward how disgustingly tight he fucking was. Formation of Damnation 2008. That's the one.
I'm relatively confident that we end up going with Marty Friedman on this one. I
Yes.
think everybody is going to go with Marty Friedman too.
Marty's the king. But fuck me, Alex is good.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Like, so Marty has definitely been the more influential guitar player. He has recorded
100%.
far more things that have influenced people. He's also, in my opinion, recorded far more shit that I don't want to listen to. Also, known as every solo album he's ever done. No, thank you.
Oh, that's no fair. There's one that's, is it Inferno? That's got a couple of good tracks on it.
Yeah, and a couple of good tracks on an album of other stuff that you don't want to hear is like, no, thank you. I would rather be able to play like Alex Skolnick, though.
Really? I think
Because he's got actual jazz in his playing.
Alex is the tightest,
Yeah.
but Marty... Here's what it's going to get down to for me, genuinely, right? Somebody could play an Alex Skolnick solo well, and I wouldn't know it wasn't Alex.
Yep.
Nobody can play Marty Friedman like Marty Friedman.
Yep.
And there's just no going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's only
Between
one
his
thing I
gammy
have to
picking
say.
horn, he's always using a really horrible humbucker in his bridge pickup position, his weird bends.
There's only one thing I have to say that's going to give Marty Friedman this. Tornado of Souls.
Aye.
Yeah. If
No,
that was all Marty Friedman had
full
ever
album?
done in his entire career, that would be enough for him to win this. But he's done more than that.
But I'm going to trump that. Poison was a cure.
Lucretia.
Lucretia's cool and Poison was a cure. The speed of it.
Yeah.
And how... I just love it. Just love it, man.
Yeah.
Right, so, I mean, it's not really an argument.
But I still
Bye, Alex.
I still would rather be able to play like Alex Skolnick. But I guess that's because Marty is so instantly recognisable in terms of the way he plays.
I think it's
you could play a lot more of Skolnick's influences and have them as part of your sound.
Yeah.
Marty Friedman has that Steve Vai problem where you can't steal any Marty licks because they stand out. You can't steal Steve Vai licks. They just sound like Steve Vai.
Ah, I agree. I get you. This is a really hard, like a good one, but a hard one. Honestly, Alex is fantastic, but he's no Marty. I can't say it any clearer. I think the argument might have been different had it been that Testament had actually been put part of the Big Four and had more exposure in that regard, especially if Chuck hadn't got throat cancer and there had been such a weird time in the band. And shout out to James Murphy as well, obviously playing with Testament and playing low.
They've both also had really interesting solo careers outside of being in big famous
Because
bands.
there's a Skolnick trio, isn't there?
That are so different from what they're famous for.
You know
Skolnick's being more dramatically different.
You know what's one of my favourite videos of all time?
Go on.
Paul Gilbert and Marty Friedman slinging riffs at each
Yeah,
other on
yeah,
that Japanese
definitely,
TV show.
yeah.
It's fucking class. That was back when Marty played with PRS.
Yeah.
Because he had the single cut with the star inlay, didn't he?
Yeah. So we're going with Marty Friedman, I would imagine.
Aye.
I can't see it yet. It seems that it's closer. The votes were closer than expected. Though,
I'm
of
down to
course,
that.
Yeah, you can't really take much when you're only getting 20 votes. Phil doesn't like any music that Marty's played on. So
Cacophony and then don't say anything else.
Alex actually did have more influence on me though. Accidentally, I never learned any Marty solos. I loved his stuff, but I remember an Alex interview in Guitar Techniques magazine when he'd started doing the Skolnick trio. So it was jazz column, and I can't remember what tune they were. The transcription was of or what he was playing, but it was just very vivid for me. that there was a C major 7 chord, and he was playing an E minor 7 arpeggio over the top of it, and he talked about like why I'm doing that, and it creates a C major 9 sound, and that was the first time where I saw it and went, that makes sense, I understand that. So that was really big and influential on me.
Okay, fair enough.
So Alex, thank you for everything. I love you dearly, but again, you've just unfortunately been paired up against one of the greats of metal. So
it's a real shame because there is no doubt in my mind that Alex Skolnick should be up there. That he is a man that should be revered when it comes to guitar.
Get those votes in though, guys. You've got another 60 seconds to cast your votes.
I'm really enjoying how much people are getting into this.
Yeah.
It's good fun.
All right, go on. Take the back. You find one.
Right, let's do it. I'm just not shuffling very well. 2 halves in and I'm fucking falling a bit. Right. You getting Skyped? I just heard the whoop.
Oh, I did, yeah, apparently.
Boop, boop, boop. And you know what?
Okay.
I'm going to double wild card that you can pick mine. After that.
You probably don't need to shuffle it again.
I know, but...
And not in any order.
Pick a card, any card, as if I'm going to do a magic trick.
There you go.
Right, here we go. Alright, okay.
All right, who have you got?
You go first.
Bumblefoot.
Derek Trucks.
Oh, that's a horrible one.
Another 2 absolute bastards to put up together because super distinctive on each of them.
Yeah, yeah. And Derek is so obviously one of the 3 in the deck who isn't a metal guitar player.
Yes.
It was funny. I looked at Bumblefoot and there was just an immediate, well, he's going to win that. There is no name in that deck you could turn over that is going to top Bumblefoot. But Derek Trucks is a serious contender for me.
I think so as well. If we're arguing on Skype noises, Pog, well said, Andrew. If we are arguing on overall influence, it's going to be Ron. It's Bumblefoot. But Ron's unique in the sense that he's super technically gifted and very, very good at writing music. Derek's gifted in the sense that nobody else plays like him. At least I'm not big on the slide community, but
Sure.
I've never heard anybody sound like Derek Trucks. I've heard Eric Gale sound
No one
in a
sounds like.
similar vein,
Yeah, no one sounds like Derek.
but nobody sounds like Derek.
But no one sounds like Bumblefoot. Like Bumblefoot's trademark licks. Bumblefoot has licks that I would just like. Derek's never done anything I would describe as untranscribable.
Derek's never
Bumblefoot
played
has-
fucking Guitar Suck.
Yeah, Bumblefoot has things where I'm like, that's untranscribable. I need to ask Ron what he's doing there to understand what he's doing there.
Totally.
Bumblefoot is an infinitely more creative guitar player than Derek. Derek's a derivative guitar player. He plays a style of music in which he fits in very well, whereas Bumblefoot creates.
We're at 50-50. I'm loving the arguments here.
Yeah, this is awful. I actually have tickets
Pardon me?
to see Derek Trucks.
I know you
They're
posted on
coming
Facebook
to-
not that long ago.
So I definitely lean more towards Trucks.
Trucks on Legacy alone, says Big Scott. Hi Scott, good to see you, mate.
Bumblefoot did play on that Guns N' Roses album that we both like.
But so did Buckethead. And I would say Buckethead. No, I'm only kidding.
Well, he's in there somewhere.
I know. Oh, yes. I mean, if you're going to talk about back catalogue, I think Buckethead probably wins versus everybody together.
Not if we're going on things, back catalogues that are worth listening to.
Excuse me. There's a YouTube video and it's a guy who listened to all of Buckethead's back catalogue. And it's only like 55 minutes long. Like, is he giving 10-second reviews to each album?
Yeah.
This one, good. This one, okay.
Oh, man.
Don't know who Trucks is
I'm-
and barely familiar with Bumblefoot. Stephen, come on.
I'm just going to have to go with whoever the audience vote with on this one, because I would be more than happy with either of these.
Aye.
If I could play like either of these players, I would play like either of these players.
So,
If I'm honest, Bumblefoot was the reason I started playing Vigier guitars.
aye. Aye.
Derek's one of my all-time favourite players. And still is. I've moved away from the metal thing completely now. It's just not my scene at all anymore.
You might get a wee flash. I'm going to take my jumper off.
Whereas, given the choice of who if I could click my fingers and play like one of these gentlemen tomorrow, it would be Derek Trucks all day. No hesitation.
If that's who you could play like.
If I could play like one of these two players, or just about anyone in the world, actually, Derek Trucks would be top tier of who I would play like. So
I do understand that because I think, like, if you wanted to be top tier, unbelievably untouchable shredder, you would probably say I like my Bumblefoot because he's a guy who can anticipate and do anything probably through one listen. I mean, his solo on what's it called again? Fucking Rhodes Island. would you call it? Guthrie
Rhode
Govan?
Island Shred.
Rhode Island Shred. Like that's supposedly he fucking played the.
It does the harmony on the fretless.
Aye, but supposedly that was done off the cuff.
Yeah.
Guys like that, like
Bumblefoot is he's a genius.
one of the things I read that Ron said, and I'm sure it was in not Ultimate Guitar, fucking Total Guitar, was he was doing the lesson series, was like always try and think 2 or 3 notes ahead. It's mental. How can you think that far ahead in music? But some guys can.
The thing that I think is worth also mentioning with Bumblefoot is we think of him as being a great guitar player. I actually think Ron is a great songwriter as well. I like his instrumental stuff, but I'll happily put on the Normal and Abnormal albums and just enjoy the songs on there. There's some dumb songs on there, some goofy songs, but there's some really nice songs in there. He did an acoustic EP actually, which has a bunch of those songs played acoustic, and it goes to highlight that what he's got here are songs that he's then dressed up with a lot of electric guitar. I
think that, see, when you can hear what usually is mental guitar songs done acoustic wise or like stripped back and they're still great songs, is always like an eye opener. And funnily enough, the kind of thing that got me, or one of the bands I listened to recently that I didn't expect would translate well to acoustic, was Northlane.
Right.
Have you listened to Northlane? Have you listened to their stuff? No, they've got an album called Alien, and it's synthy gent. Kieran did a video on one of the songs, like listen to Northlane once or whatever, and it's the start of one of their tunes, and it starts off, and then like as soon as the music starts, it's like Kieran with like the Matrix over the top of it with a pair of sunglasses on and all that, because it sounds like early 2000s new metal, almost kind of Linkin Parky. But they've got an acoustic album of a couple of their tracks, and it's fucking tremendous in terms of like, you go for these super heavy gent songs to, well, actually, if you'd written that in acoustic, that's an actual beautiful song.
Yeah.
Like, there's something in it. So that's cool. I'll give you that. This is shite.
I'm going to go with the audience on this and just say I'm happy for Bumblefoot to win this. I do think Derek Trucks is a better guitar player in terms of like all-round, capability, ability to touch an audience and reach people. Go on.
I'm just going to wildcard it and say, do you think that if Bumblefoot decided to get the thimble out, that he could probably do it just as good a job as Derek Trucks?
Not even fucking close.
I don't believe you.
Not even close. You need to listen to more Derek Trucks.
I know, I get that Bumblefoot's usually just using his thimble for tapping away up past the fretboard and shit, but...
the ability... It's surprising, actually, because obviously I play slide. Slide's like one of my main things. If I turn my head like that, you can see on my strap, I've got a slide holder on the strap. And I obviously have slide guitar books.
There's slides lying everywhere.
Yeah. I'm super into slide.
I don't know how many slides you've got. I remember at one point
more than enough to cover all 10 fingers and then have spares.
Yeah. Aye, plus my hands.
Yeah. What I will say is, like, when it comes to playing slide, it's the most natural thing in the world to me. That motion is very natural to me. So getting a natural sound in vibrato feels very natural to me. But when people that don't play slide pick up slide and go to give it a go, their vibrato sounds like dog shit. It's really hard to understand how you get that motion because it's counterintuitive to how playing on the guitar works. So
playing a fretless like that for me, you're fretless, I found it was really weird, and you're like, you can't do vibrato up and down, you scratch the fretboard, and I'm like, I just can't, wrong gesture to be doing. I couldn't get used to it.
Okay.
Thanks, Phil. Thought I'd turned over to Harry and the Hendersons then. you bastard. Thank you.
Bumblefoot wins it.
Totally fair.
And audiences matters, right? We're talking to a group of people who are gonna skew heavily towards Bumblefoot. So I expect Bumblefoot to win in a scenario like that. The three or four people that I've got in here who I wouldn't consider to be metal guitar players, Eric being one of them, I didn't actually expect any of those guys to win. I just, I thought it'd be fun to have an argument about them. So
I'm all for arguing with you. You and I are very good at arguing. People have pointed out that we're quite good at not arguing, but making our points made. And if we disagree, then there's no, well, it's my ball, I'm going to hit him. You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah, we can move on from it. It's like, okay, we don't agree on that one. All right, I'll take that.
There are much bigger things for us to worry about.
Who you got?
Phil's asking you a question. Which slide would you recommend for electric? Glass, brass, or ceramic?
Definitely either glass or ceramic. To me, the difference between them is minimal. I'm currently using ceramic slides, mainly the rock slides. The Star Singer slides. I was using the glass rock slides for a while. Badly named. They're not made of rock. And now I'm using the Star Singer slides. I think they have a softer sound than brass. Brass is much more, metallic, for lack of a better description. A lot of treble and noise that you get on a brass slide. So glass or ceramic should sound the same for me. Who you got?
The one and only Brian Carroll, Buckethead.
Malmsteen.
Oh fuck.
Okay.
I mean, stupid. There's no question that Yngwie is the more
influential.
Definitely. Who would I rather listen to is an interesting one. I know who you're going to say.
Yep.
I would get bored of Yngwie before I would get bored of Buckethead. How do you pronounce it? Yngwie or Yngwie?
Yngwie.
It is Yngwie, isn't it?
Yeah.
I say Yngwie just out of laziness. Because that's... when you're younger...
But you don't say
Yngwie.
Buckethead.
Fucking Buckethead, by the way! Could do.
Oh, good old Buckethead.
You can tell I'm Scottish because I'm getting the rosy drinker's cheek already. Like...
Buckethead's a great player. I'm never gonna argue that he's not a great player. You and I famously met arguing over Buckethead.
One of the very first conversations was me roasting your ear. You didn't even stay up here at the time. You had been here for the afternoon. I don't think we'd even been formally introduced, and I'm just going, "Where do you think you're going like Buckethead?" Yeah. And you kindly stood sideways to me and didn't really engage. I'll never forget that.
I like Steve Austin's comment here. Yngwie's great, but his stuff gets boring in 5 minutes or less.
Correct.
The thing with Buckethead is once you've heard 5 minutes of music worth listening to, there isn't anything else.
That's totally wrong, because you can listen to Electric Tears or Acoustic Shards or Coma. 3 albums, nearly 3 hours of music, of tremendous music. Yeah. And that's before we even get into things like Giant Robot or any other mad Buckethead albums. Decoding the Tomb of Banshee Bot.
Buckethead's best tunes don't match up to Yngwie's best tunes.
I'll give you that, because nothing that Buckethead has written will beat Vengeance. As Andy pointed out, Vengeance. I would play that on repeat till death. Yeah. But it's better than Rising Force.
I love Rising Force.
But it's no as good as Vengeance. It's no.
But that's the thing. Again, like Malmsteen, I think has some really great tunes for that power metal. Like, power metal feels like a description, but.
I've listened to so much of Buckethead's backline that you don't remember, and I'll never forget.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, that's enough of that, innit? Really?
Yeah, given the choice of being able to play like one of these players tomorrow, I'm going to go with Yngwie over Buckethead. Where do you fall?
Based entirely on the influence, right? Vengeance as a song had a mega influence on me, thinking like, right, you can be a mega shredder, still have really cool melody, you can fuse all that kind of neoclassical stuff, but the original version of Giant Robot by Buckethead is probably one of my favourite albums of all time, and it is so filled with absolute nonsense. Mm-hmm. Nonsense. It starts off just with like a guitar with a weird filter over the top of it, and like atonal mad Lucas man wishes he could do this crazy shredding into Welcome to Buckethead Land. And I've got I Come in Peace, Want Some Slaw. You've got Onions, which is about a sentient fucking scarecrow voiced by Bill, whatever his surname is, that was in House of a Thousand Corpses. And then there's a version of Star Wars at the end. I'm sorry. No. Yngwie in the bin. Even though 75% of you are complete disgusting heathens.
What Buckethead album would you recommend?
Giant Robot.
Okay.
Giant Robot if you want weird and cool guitar licks, because it's got a binge and grab on it, as well as
Yngwie is well-rounded. Sorry, well-round.
He's definitely round, even though he doesn't like donuts. Other Bucketheads. Acoustic Shard is a really cool album. It's an interesting one. Electric Tears is probably the best hangover album of all life.
Funnily enough, I'm not into the Deli Creeps, no.
I'm
not into Buckethead.
Yes! Yes! Rise of the Deli Creeps is a fucking tremendous album. Maximum Bob is the game. Can I take a ride?
So,
no. Ah, jeez, what a nice and ride car you got.
So obviously, when it comes to Malmsteen, song-wise, I'm going to say Rising Force. Album-wise, I'm going to say Trilogy. Rising Force isn't on Trilogy. Yeah. Magic Mirror from Trilogy is one that I always tip people to go and check out, because it's one of those ones where Malmsteen detunes. You don't hear that very often.
No, very rarely. Low Vengeance is an E flat.
I mean, all right, technically, almost all of his stuff is D.
So he does detune, then you're a liar?
Yeah.
You're a fucking liar.
Drop D. He's dropped D flat.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, so it's got like a slightly heavier vibe. I'm going.
Malmsteen believes in 432. He's all about that unifying vibration.
That's his waist size.
That's how many portions of donuts he has per night. That's how many white strats he's got lying in his fucking room.
Yeah,
Hog bitch, stomp your right corner. Yavor, I would love to do some covers of some fucking Daily Creep stuff. Buried Deep stays Buried Still is absolute banging. Body Found as well. Or Found Body even. Right, okay, we're moving on.
Yeah.
I was really enjoying the fact that we're talking about
We've
Buckethead.
got a lot of people to get through.
But it's not Buckethead. Right, okay.
Okay, I've got Dimebag.
Well, I'm having to play a Joker card here. We've got Rob Chapman. So,
the Joker of the pack enters. Okay, so Rob. Well, I don't like either of these men, so this is a fun one for me.
in terms of players or as people?
Both.
You don't like Dime as a person?
No.
Why?
I've told this story on the podcast numerous times because he was an obnoxious drunk in interviews.
I mean, it was probably going to come with the territory
Yeah.
of being in probably the hardest partying band on earth.
Yeah. Not a role model. Not a role model.
I don't know as much. He did get himself mega fucked up, but he also apologised a lot of the time for doing crazy shit.
I wasn't into his playing either. But
he was a man of his time.
This is obvious. Someone's actually voted for Chapman on this. It's just a shame.
Aye, Rob. Get off our video, Rob. Go home. Oh, you're already probably home, to be fair.
Yeah, this. I mean,
yeah, no. Connor made a very good point. We need to go back to Yngwie versus Buckethead. Who's better with nunchucks? And the answer is Buckethead. Big Brian.
Yep, definitely.
I don't think Yngwie can breakdance either.
I would be confident he can't.
He can't do the robot on stage.
They're both interesting characters because they both bang parts of their anatomy when they walk through doors.
Good lord.
Yeah, so Rob Chapman, things that are worth listening to, grovelling apology videos, I think, those are my favourites.
I went for Schadenfreude comedy.
Yeah. With Dimebag, it's not that I've not listened to my fair share of Dimes playing.
Who sold more guitars with a name on it?
Oh, whoa, that's actually a really interesting one. Huh. I would still imagine Dime.
I'm going to say Dime.
And well, just purely based on how long he'd been selling guitars for.
But I mean, every single Chapman guitar that doesn't have a signature on it is still a Chapman guitar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we can wrap this one up. I think the Joker of the pack has been eliminated.
Aye, that's fair. To be fair, I just wanted to rip the card when I got it, but I thought that'd be overly dramatic.
I would, when it comes to Dimebag,
have you listened to Rebel Meets Rebel?
Yeah. I
would have assumed I don't know if you would like it per se, but I would have thought that's probably way more you'd enjoy than Rob Chapman's done, or Pantera.
But the thing with Pantera is they've got a lot of stuff that I actually
really
do quite dig.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting the Damage Plan album when that came out as well.
I'm sorry, you shouldn't have done that.
I know.
Yeah,
that was the only option I had because they were playing download.
You know what? I don't mean
play
that as
my fair share of Pantera tunes. I can play more Pantera than I can Megadeth.
Really?
Yeah.
What about Rob Chapman songs? How many do you know?
I've transcribed one of them for him.
Did you transcribe what he actually played or what he wanted to?
Well, yeah.
You don't have to answer that. You're all right.
I had to completely ignure the fact that there was a punch-in that was so bad it was like the whole track had been shifted out of time. Yeah. But you get anything in the charts there. So 2 people on that voted for Rob. So.
To be fair, Andre's reason for voting is because he gave us the greatest adjective of all time, which is size.
Definitely the biggest adjective.
Johnny, you're bang on. The Breakdown in Primal Concrete Sledge alone wins. You are fucking bang on. See, not just that, man, the Great Southern Trendkill. Every Pantera album before that's had a bit of a slow start. That just comes in. The drums going mental. Sorry, that album punches your cunt in. It's the only way to describe it. I'm going to reach right in into this one. So. Oh, that's a good one. If I think who we're going to get paired with, it's going to be really interesting.
You got
Richie Kotzen.
Aaron Marshall.
Oh!
A wee modern name.
Aye, very modern.
Yeah.
That's a good shit. Aaron Marshall versus Richie Kotzen. I mean, I would say Richie just based on the length of time of the tenure.
Yeah, in terms of influence, well, let me
But I tell you what, they've both got beautiful guitars.
I know who's going to win.
Richie's Telecaster is banging, but Aaron Marshall's guitars are also banging. I actually thought you might pull Gilbert out of the pack, and I was going to be like, I know who I'm picking, but it's a very interesting shootout.
So I know that Richie Kotzen's going to win this in terms of public opinion.
Fucking hell, Connor. Nathan Gale voted for Rob. Ooh. who Nathan Gale is? The man who shot Dimebag.
Okay, yep. The name rang a bell, and I'm like, yeah. So everyone's
You're right. Power metal is fucking banging.
everyone's gonna vote Richie on this one,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna go with Aaron Marshall.
As of recent, man, intervals are big.
Yeah.
Big. And Aaron himself being on these channels. In fact, was he not on fucking Glenn's channel recently?
Dunno.
No, it wasn't. He was on Rick Beato's channel recently.
Yeah, I stay off the YouTube guitar thing.
You've kind of fell away for that. You're too busy into your piano these days.
So, yeah. I'm now a member of, and I won't name the website because I'm not working with them on anything. I'm now. You ready to see your eyes water on this, right? I'm now a member of a piano website. My monthly subscription cost is $88.
But you're banging straight in.
Yeah.
And you're enjoying yourself,
there's-
and you're clearly learning.
Oh, there's daily live practice sessions with them.
If it's
so,
worth,
yeah.
I guarantee
Good
you
value,
paying
good
that kind of money
Yeah,
will be worthwhile.
Yeah.
You know the type of person that pays that and goes, I'm getting nothing from this.
Yeah.
You're not stingy, but you definitely are good with your money.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay off the guitar thing online, but to me, that's why I would go with Aaron on this. He's a great guitar player, but I don't like any of Richie's music. Richie has never recorded anything that I've loved.
Colorado Bulldog?
That's
Was that Paul
that's
Gilbert that played that
Gilbert,
one?
yeah,
Was
yeah.
it? I know that Richie played obviously with
Yeah.
Mr. Big, but
All of his solo stuff, I've transcribed more Richie Kotzen than I care to remember. Because I've had clients that are just really into Richie's playing. He's just never ever grabbed me as a player. I know he's got some great ideas. He's got a great voice. I'll give him that.
he's an incredible singer.
I've seen him live more times than I care to remember.
He's also got the most beautiful Fender signature I've ever seen.
The necks on those things are fucking baseball bats, though.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is he
yeah.
like you, Paisley?
Like what worse than that?
Fuck
The biggest
off.
neck I've ever played on a guitar. Yeah.
Which I would actually say probably adds more to Richie. Who the fuck plays like that on a baseball bat?
Yeah. Wild. Great voice, but my criticism of Richie is always like Richie's got 3 songs. Really? And I don't mean he's got 3 songs that are worth listening to. I literally mean he's got 3 songs. He's got the fast one, he's got the medium tempo one, and he's got the ballad. And when a new album comes out, it's like, oh, here comes the fast one. Oh, he's doing the ballad again. His music's just never resonated with me.
Okay, fair enough.
I know he's a much more influential guitar player than Aaron Marshall, but I would take intervals over Rich Kotzen solo stuff any day of the week.
I think I would find more enjoyment in listening to and watching Aaron Marshall play stuff. There's a couple of Aaron Marshall videos online where he's playing along with like the riding tabs, the same way you've done a couple of your videos, and the tab goes with it. And some of the stuff he's playing and how accurate he is at playing it is ridiculous. Not to say it's like the most technical, but he is a very good player.
I've also done a Patreon transcription challenge on interval stuff and live
really?
transcribed interval stuff, and it wasn't because it was suggested, it's because I wanted to do it. Like I legitimately really like Aaron Marshall's playing. I think he's fabulous, and I've never done that for Richie, and I don't see it ever happening. So for me, it's easily Aaron Marshall, but I know the votes aren't going to go that way. So someone asked what bands did Richie play in. He was in Poison for a fair amount of time.
Somebody commented saying that. David Yates said, showing my age again, so I caught some play with Poison.
Yeah. He was obviously also in Mr. Big for after Paul Gilbert left.
Anybody that fills Paul Gilbert's shoes definitely gets a nod in my book. I'm not saying they're the best, but Christ.
He's a phenomenal player. And as far as technical ability goes, he's a far more technically capable guitar player than
he's
Aaron
a monster.
Marshall. He really is a monster player.
But you're talking about like the full scale of things being songwriting. Aaron takes the cake that way.
Richie writes better songs, but Aaron's a more interesting composer. I think would be the way I would put it. And I say songs, I mean things that you would listen to, things that your mum would enjoy. Richie's got that thing down.
Right.
Check out some of Richie's solo stuff by all means, or check out he's in
Winery Dogs.
Yeah, Winery Dogs. That was I've seen him with the Winery Dogs as well. Again, not for me.
And Smith Kotzen, that's right, Andy. Adrian Smith and fucking Richie Kotzen have got a band, which is just the most bizarre pair up I've ever heard.
He also did 2 project albums with Greg Howe, like Fusion Records.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Those would be interesting to listen to.
So Richie Kotzen is going to win this one. I know, I can see that from the votes. 83% goes to Richie Kotzen. And I think that that's an unfortunate circumstance of time and tenure.
I think it's even more unfortunate that there's so many people wrong.
Yeah.
So many of our audience wrong. So
idiots, the lot of you. But we'll put...
One half and he's already calling these cunts.
His instructional video is great.
I've never seen his instructional video.
This game's great, but it sure would be better if it was a Richie Kotzen machine. He's playing an arcade machine at the start here.
Nothing beats Paul Gilbert's when he's pulling fucking rabbits at the hat and shit. Nothing beats that. Yeah, this one. Fuck it.
Right, who you got?
Toast in a basket.
Randy Rhoads.
Randy and Tosin. Oh my god. Well, Randy doesn't have his guitar company or his own guitar company, so Tosin wins.
Randy.
I mean, it's a daft question.
Tosin.
I would say Randy's going to win overall because Tosin doesn't play for Aussie.
I've famously, I've not done anything famously actually, but I've gone on record many times saying I'm not into Tosin. Tosin hasn't done a single thing that I enjoy.
Really?
I don't like any of the Animals as a Leader stuff. I don't think
You
it's
like
shit.
Careful?
I don't think it's shit, but I just listen to it and I go, none of this resonates with me. But I know he's really popular, so I expect him to do well on this. Randy's going to win this though because of it's the same as Kotzen versus Marshall. It's tenure. Randy's has a legacy that dates back to, well, I was going to say like 83 for the first Aussie album.
Even outside of that,
But Quiet Riot was before that, and yeah.
every one of us, myself included, in this chat probably has attempted the Crazy Train solo. Not one of us has learnt any fucking Toes in the Bassy stuff. I can't say I've learnt the Woven Web. No, I don't have an 8-string guitar in 7 years to learn it. Or unbelievably alien fucking brain and hands.
I'll be honest with you. So I put Randy in here expecting him to be one of the players in here that would get knocked out quite quickly.
Randy?
Because, yeah, although Ozzy is my desert island artist, as far as I'm concerned, I've never been into any of Randy's playing with Quiet Riot. And outside of that, there's 2 Aussie albums. That's it. There's the live album as well, sure, but there's 2 Aussie albums in the grand scheme of things.
Doesn't matter.
There's some great stuff on there. There's some alright stuff on there.
In the same way you could say that, I mean, Becker's only had a couple of albums.
We'll get to him.
Still a ridiculous footprint on the...
Becker was a much better guitar player than Randy was.
But in terms of influence and style and skill and flair and even like rememberability, if that's a word, Randy Rhoads.
Yep.
Come on.
I'm quite happy to go with Randy on this one.
If you can kick about with a polka dot V and it still be heralded to this day, you're in there. No disrespect to Tosin. You can stick to your fashion and your nice watches and your Lamborghini.
All right.
And your guitars designed by other companies that you're now selling.
That was a nice quick one.
Excuse me.
Nice quick one.
Yes.
28 votes and we go 86% for Randy. So
See, the thing is, I'm saying that as if I don't like
Stop.
Animals as Leaders. There's loads of good Animals as Leaders tunes and albums. Oh.
John 5.
John 5 versus Frank Gambale.
Woo! So we've got some outside choices here. Right.
Yes. I'm going to say Frank.
This is an interesting one.
Well, this is a really fucking hard one, actually, because John 5's got that total major Marilyn Manson, always in public, cool, outsider, public persona. Then you've got Frank Gambale, who's arguably the best picker on earth when it comes to sweeps.
Yeah. Frank, obviously not a metal player at all. And
But could be.
I'm not even going to go as far as saying he's been influential on the metal scene, because I think that there'll be lots of people that are hearing this now going, oh, I've never actually listened to any Frank Gambale. Frank's music is so unpalatably cheesy at times.
Aye.
When you listen to his solo material.
There was was it Mark DV that he had the signature amp with?
Yeah.
The kind of modelling amp. There was a couple of bits on that Mark DV advert where he's showing that off, where he's playing some of the licks through it, and you showed me them, and I'm like, I mean, those licks are disgusting, but that music is even worse.
He does have the best album cover of all time.
I don't know. Nigel F. Pepper, Fresh White Reeboks kicking your ass. Nigel Peppercock, that's the guy's name, sorry. And it's a guy in the middle of the desert wearing white trainers with a big hard on, just standing in the middle of in the road, naked. Cracking album cover. Going to give it, but it's not Nigel Peppercock.
Thunder from Down Under by Frank Gambale.
This is just like Silver Surfer, but taking the piss,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny because on some of his instructional videos, there's very definitely points where he's like, "My name's Frank Gambale, and you may have heard of me as the Thunder from Down Under." It's like when Buster B. Jones says that the Italians call him La Machine Gun. They've never called you La Machine Gun. It's not happened. Frank, nobody called you Thunder from Down Under. You called yourself Thunder from Down Under. You have an album called Thunder from Down Under.
A nickname that you hope will stick and never did.
Yeah, thankfully didn't, because it's a terrible name.
Has.
Yeah, I think.
I can't believe this is almost 50. It's 52 to 48. What's wrong with you people?
Well, no, because I think that John's got a lot going for him. John's got a lot going for him.
He does, but his music's pretty fucking boring.
As is
Case in
Frank's.
point is fucking K-Pasa. But John 5's music's boring because it's repetitive and just it's like verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, and that's every song. Frank's boring because he's so outside the box that sometimes you don't know where it's going.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
Or it's cheesy.
I'll
I'd much rather be bored by that was a cool lick than, oh great, there's Dave Mustaine speaking Spanish again.
John 5 has never played anything that's made me go, what the fuck was that?
Aye.
Whereas Frank, all the time, he'd play things where you're like, hang on, let's go back and listen to this. Frank is, I was going to say completely, nobody can copy Frank. Actually, nobody can copy John 5. No one sounds like John 5 because John 5 is an inherently quite a sloppy player. But that's part of his sound. Like that tremolo picking through scale stuff. So everything's like not tight and synchronized. That's his sound. I don't mean it in a negative way. That's part of his sound. If you try and learn it in a more precise way, it doesn't sound like John. And Frank has a similar thing going on. When you go on YouTube and type in Frank Gambale style sweeps and you look at people teaching you how to sweep like Frank Gambale, none of them sound even close to how Frank sounds.
I love that. Let me teach you this guy's technique that I can't do. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've transcribed a bunch of Frank. I've never actually done any John. I'm going to go with Frank on this one just because John wouldn't get back to my Instagram messages and do an interview for the channel. So fuck you, John.
What a shit reason. Scott, sorry I have to run off, mate. It was really good to see you you stuck in for about an hour and a bit. Well done, mate. More than an hour and a half. Enjoy the teaching. It was nice to catch up with you the other day when I was sending you a couple of messages, mate. And Rabia definitely gets a vote on my part.
Yeah, he's not in the pack.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised about that one. And yet you'll put in that fucking Joker? Disgusting.
Because we get to have fun about that one. So, yeah, go with Frank. I do like John 5's signature guitar. I'd love one of his tellies, his original ones with the paddle headstock. But if I could play like one of these players tomorrow, it would be Frank Gambale.
That's that big ridiculous 12-string thumb thing headstock in it with the 6 tuners on it. Aye, fair enough. But Frank, in terms of technique and ability, absolutely jumps over John 5's body.
It was a close one, but Frank wins it.
But it shouldn't have been close, and that's where public opinion upsets me. Right.
I'll take this one.
No, you won't. And I'm going to go from this one. I really fucked them all the flair.
I'm really hoping. Come on.
Matthias Jaeklund.
Richie Allen.
Ooh!
Yeah, I thought I'd throw an Orms people in there. An Orms bro.
Yes.
Matthias Eklund wins this all day.
He does. I mean, Richie's a monster player, but
He is.
you could, to be fair, there's probably no aim that you could really throw up against Matthias that he's not going to win against in terms of innovation.
Yep.
I wasn't slagging the headstock, Phil. How dare you? I was saying that it looks like a big thumb because it does look like a big thumb, but it's cool as fuck. Given that it's on either a black or a white Telecaster with gold hardware usually, I love it.
I'm going to say when it comes to Matthias Eklund and Richie Allen, if I had to pick one album that I had to listen to, Richie has written a better masterpiece than anything Matthias has done in terms of like start to finish. I think that Heavy Metal Ninjas album is just unbelievably good.
I only really know a couple of bits of stuff with Heavy Metal Ninjas and Cora, but where it sways it for me is that there is so much Freak Kitchen that I know.
Yeah.
In terms of songwriting, and then the mad solos that came out of fucking Matthias, it's just
So
hard to say.
It's not hard to say. It's Matthias.
I got corrected earlier on by a friend who posted a picture of an Apple Horn 8 that he was buying.
Yep.
And I was like, that's fucking cool, man. I can't believe he managed to twist Caparison's arm and build an 8-string. And then he went, no, he didn't. They did one before he did. And I looked it up, and right enough, there was one other person that actually had an 8-string from Caparison before Matthias did.
It may well have been managed to twist their arm back into doing it after they did it and no one bought it.
Potentially, but I thought that was the first one they did. Remember, we kind of spoke about it before, and it was really interesting to see that it wasn't
the full package, like the True Temperament frets, the
and the
tremolo
Floyd
on it. Yeah.
Aye, the Apple Horn 8 is
A hell of a package.
cool guitar from a cool guitarist.
Way overpriced.
3.5.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. I think it's 5.
Unless
Find out.
Maybe. I know it was expensive when it came out. It might have dropped by now. What a cool guitar, man. What a fucking cool guitar.
I thought they had the prices on their site.
You'll probably need to look up an actual retail store rather than looking at the site, because what your RRP on the site will be versus what actual stores are selling them for will be the pain in the arse.
Online shop.
Yes, there's the one. In stock. Oh, okay then. £5,159.
It's a lot of money.
No, thank you.
£5,000. I had some one-on-one time with Matthias Eklund. I had a lesson with him years ago. It was large, very influential. He's a cool guy.
He always seems super down to earth, and the fact that he loves conical.
I would give Richie more attention if he pulled his finger out of his arse and released more music.
I think Richie's probably going to have another couple of busy years upcoming. I've seen he started posting again recently, and he went quiet for a wee bit. Connor, you're right. It is Ia, and you know the best part about that, and why Matthias wins every time, or Matthias, or however you want to pronounce that, is because this noise is the same noise that DJ HP from Scooter makes. Ia, and that's end it. He wins. Game over.
Very nice.
He wins. Game over.
I think that was an easy one.
Very easy. It could have been difficult because they're both monster players. I'll let you have first pick, darling. Ooh, a decisive grab there. Oh, I just seen who you got. I think.
Who did I get?
I think it was Steve Morse.
It was.
It was. It was that or Vinnie Moore. It was one of the two.
Steve Morse.
Steve Morse versus Darren Malakian.
Mm.
Haha! As guitarist, very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh. Now, I barely know any Steve Morse, but I know he's a very influential player. Probably in an older generation of guitarists or people who are into stuff that I'm not really bothered about. But Darren Malakian as a songwriter and as a guitar writer, as a guitarist, because his riffs are fairly, even his guitar tone's a bit fucking different to most people. It's like that kind of almost low gain but huntersy crunch, dimed out Marshall. Quite harsh.
I didn't actually put Devin Townsend in here.
And that's a great Devin Townsend song.
Yeah. So I'm gonna.
We don't even understand.
I have to go with Steve Morse on this. There's no question about that one. Steve Morse's work with the Dixie Dregs is some of my favourite music. He's a great player, a really versatile player. Obviously played with Deep Purple for a very, very long time as well. Darren has been hugely influential on me. Those System albums when I was growing up were a big part of my youth.
Yes.
I love him, and that's why I put him in the pack. I think the Hypnotise and Mesmerise albums from System are masterpieces. But when you go beyond that and you listen to his stuff outside of System, the Scars on Broadway stuff, it's largely garbage.
Oh, like System of a Down were a band that were greater than some of their parts. They just worked together brilliant. Andre, come on. Is System of a Down even good though? They are.
Yes.
That like unbelievably, arguably one of the best bands.
Yeah.
For a band that sung about complete nonsense and then essentially discursive essay topics to break into the mainstream in America, there's something about it.
What I will say is someone managed to massage some incredible performances out of them in the studio, because I've never close to seen them sound a fraction as tight as they are in the studio live. Substances have been, a bad thing for that band. Love System of a Down to bits, but yeah, this is Steve Morse for me all day. If I could play like one of these guys tomorrow, it'd be Steve Morse all day. I
mean, if you're going by that logic, fair enough. But Steve Morse didn't play an Iceman, and therefore he goes in the bin. Sorry, I don't make the rules. I don't.
I mean, I feel like you very much do.
No, you made the rules. I'm just playing. I'm playing the card I was dealt, apparently.
Yeah. Again, not too fake. Two names that I really want to see next to each other, because I love them both for very different reasons.
They're very, very different. Yeah. Aye. I don't like Scars on Broadway. I don't like anything that Darren's done pretty much solo-wise, but System of a Down. Yeah. As a band, again, greater than some of their parts. Yeah. So, big part of where Darren's probably getting credit isn't Darren. Yeah, it's his influence that he's had on people from his band, rather than the real question, which is, who's the better guitar player? It's going to be Steve, isn't it? You bastards, with your logic and stuff. Yeah, okay. Oh, we're about halfway through the deck. Maybe a bit more? Yeah. Oh my goodness. He'll go fast now. Okay. Okay. Oh. I don't know who you're going to pull that's going to win off this one.
Kirk Hammett.
Alan Holdsworth. That is a great argument. Arguably one of the technically best musicians on earth versus Kirk Hammett. And the reason I say Kirk Hammett is because he's been such a gateway drug into real guitar for a lot of people. There's only so many times you can play sloppy pentatonics and wire your way through things.
This is an interesting one for me, and the reason I say that is I put Holdsworth in the deck because I was looking forward to eliminating him in the first round.
But you shouldn't.
I don't like Holdsworth.
Neither do I. His music's shit, but what a player.
Yeah.
Undeniably one of the most misunderstood and technically unbelievable guitarists on earth.
It's funny because when you look at everything that we've done, the question has always been, if we could play like one of these people tomorrow, who would it be?
It would be Holdsworth.
When
Fuck
I look
Kirk
at
Hammett.
these,
I can already play like Kirk Hammett. MD can.
If I could play like either of these guitar players tomorrow, if I had to pick one of these and play like them tomorrow, I'd stop playing guitar tomorrow.
But
I've basically stopped playing guitar anyway.
But no, that's no fair because you could have Holdsworth's chops and understanding and play whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
You don't get that if you Kirk.
Sure. I mean, obviously you're going to pick Holdsworth. Like, surely he's the better guitar player.
Yes. Without question.
Kirk, much more influential. Most notable, actually, aside from Metallica, many people don't know this, most notable for being the first guitar player to design his own range of pedals.
That's right. First person that ever brought out his own effects.
Idea.
That's right.
That was
beat everybody else.
That's really, really good of him. I would be fine with either one of these winning. I'm gonna.
No, you shouldn't be.
I acknowledge that Kirk is much more influential than Alan. That's why Kirk is still a very, very, very rich man, and Alan Holdsworth died penniless.
He shouldn't be. In the same way that Kerry King's an influential guitarist, he shouldn't be because he's not very good.
Kerry's in here somewhere as well.
Good. He'll be getting eliminated shortly.
Yeah. When it comes to Alan, I've said this many times. I like Alan when Alan isn't playing Alan's music. He had such a unique voice on the instrument. When he played his stuff over his music, it sounded like weird outside shit over weird outside sound. So actually, it's inside sounds on outside music. I like him so much better when he's playing on other people's music. So you get his weird outside lines in more conventional contexts. So famously, the Jens Johansson Heavy Machinery, the Anderson Brothers Heavy Machinery album is fantastic. I also really like his appearance on the Planet X album, Quantum. That's a great record. He's on a couple of tracks on that.
Planet X, has that not got a... Is it T-Bone Steaks the name of the song?
Hey T-Bone.
Hey T-Bone, that's the one I'm thinking.
No, that's Centrifugal Funk.
And that's got a... What do you call it that plays the beautiful ESP?
Brick Garcet.
Brick Garcet.
Yeah.
And who else is on that again? Is it Sean Lane?
Sean Lane.
That is I.
Yeah.
That's one of the very, very few of that genre of music I know. It was Big Andy that put me onto that.
No, Holdsworth isn't on that.
No, I didn't think
one.
so.
No.
But I think he's on...
Who's on Centrifugal? No, Gambali's on that one.
Right, okay.
Yeah. He's on the... so Alan Holdsworth, in that same vein, did the Truth in Shredding album, which was a duo album between him and...
Somebody
Frank Gambali?
That's a bit of fucking peer to put together, isn't it, really?
Is it Frank?
You might be right.
Why can I not remember who the other guitar player is on Truth in Shredding? That's right.
We're getting deep tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Deep. Mike Varney project?
Yeah.
Mark Varney, sorry, not Mike.
Yeah, Gambali. So...
Frankie B.
What's Jeff messaging me?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so for me, it's going to be Holdsworth. He's the better guitar player.
I can't believe
Kirk's not even the best guitar player in his band.
He's not even the best guitar player when he goes into music shops to like impress children. Like they'd be better than him. See that? Like, and I'm being that we're talking about like influence, right? Just talking about influence. So you go Alan Holdsworth and you go cool. Frederick, Kirk Hammett, people that abuse their wah pedal. Come on, I'm going with the top. Fuck it, let's just go this way. Let's do it. Sean Lane versus Van Halen. Oh my god.
Sean Lane versus Eddie Van Halen.
No, that's a really horribly difficult one. It's going to be Van Halen, but Sean Lane is obviously the better player.
I don't know about that.
You don't know about
I
that.
can make that argument.
No, you couldn't. Unless we're going to argue that Van Halen was arguably the better rhythm player.
Well, the point is, when we talk about like the better guitar player, there's more to someone's measurement of how good they are than how fast they can play.
And that's why Sean wins.
Sean was a more technically proficient guitar player.
His playing on
But Eddie
Once
had
Upon a
much better
Time
rhythm.
in the West, the theme in that is beautiful.
Sure.
So Sean had that in him. Sorry to cut you off. I think Sean had the ability
But
to
groove and pocket. Like he could play. I'm not saying that he couldn't play melodic stuff, but like Eddie, I'm not just talking about as a rhythm player. I'm talking about somebody that could groove in the way they played lead playing.
Great piano's flying.
I just this is,
This
this one's Eddie for me.
I mean, if we're going just by influential, then Van Halen does win because he's a household name. The band was named after fucking him, essentially.
Yeah, and if I could play like one of them, it would be Eddie.
And it's okay that you're wrong.
Though if I could have either of their signature guitars, I'd have the Vigier Sean Lane.
Of course you would. The Excalibur.
Yeah,
What a guitar.
it was a great guitar. I miss mine.
Did you have one?
Yeah.
Aye. What
Yeah.
colour was it? Black?
I had the black one.
Black
yeah.
quilted?
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
traded
god.
it for my my other black Vigier that I had. The
Yes.
that I traded it for that. As in,
And you
I got
regretted
rid
it?
of the Sean Lane. Well, no, I got that because I needed a second guitar for the album recordings that felt like a double of my red one.
Yep.
But just had a trem. The Sean never felt that way because it was short scale length. It's Gibson scale length on it, so it didn't feel
EMGs
like,
as well, isn't
it
it?
didn't feel right going between. No, Demarty, isn't it? Didn't feel right going between the two.
Am I just thinking the lyrics caliber models then rather than the Sean?
Yeah.
Right, I thought the Sean Lane much of the EMGs as well for some reason.
So yeah, this one. I don't want to knock Sean. Like Sean was a great player, really great player.
monster.
And he was a man of taste. There were recordings of him playing the Eric Johnson song "Trademark."
And I bet he did a great job of it.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Oh, let me get some more ice brought out to us.
You're a man of lovely convenience.
Yeah. I'm quite happy. Yeah.
Morning, Chris.
EVH.
We'd have whiskey too.
Hello, Chris.
Sorry, I mean coffee. Not.
We've just talked about some of your pals.
It was Phil.
We've done Bumblefoot. Bumblefoot has won. Bumblefoot beat out Derek Trucks. Guthrie's still coming up. Guthrie is in this pack somewhere.
I would have guessed it would have to be, wouldn't he?
So
have we decided then, is Van Halen going to win?
hey, Chris. Thank you very much for.
Hi, Chris. Behave yourself, please.
Thanks
You
for
madman. Thank
the,
you.
The first super chat of the night. That was
And the last.
the only person that's given us a Christmas present so far. Eddie Van Halen, Sean Lane, out.
You terrible bastard. Imagine doing that to everybody. Sean had piano albums to come out. Oh.
Sean had a lot of stuff. Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me, to be fair, man. Like, the guy was a monster. You picking first or am I?
Okay.
Bam. Right. Okay.
Someone also related to Chris Clarehout here.
Okay. Jeff Loomis.
Dan Nilsson.
Oh, that's a hard pair, really.
Yeah.
Really? Who's more influential?
Jeff Loomis.
Is he though?
On the wider community. He's Jeff Loomis, man.
You know what? I mean, Jeff obviously played with Nevermore. And then had his own solo stuff. He's now playing with Arch Enemy. Has featured on so many ridiculous things. Had probably one of the best-selling 7-string signatures of all time, despite it being Schecter.
I'm going to butcher Pez's surname now, aren't I?
Nilsson. And I can't get past Per. You know what I've been playing a lot of? Deus Ex Machina 2? Or Ghost Prototype 2?
Yeah.
Deus Ex Machina,
Yeah.
sorry, the last track on... I don't remember the name of that album.
Well, this is a controversial one. I'm not actually all that into Jeff. And I don't mean that I dislike any of Jeff's playing, but I've not listened to any of Jeff's stuff that's made me go, I should listen to more of this. Whereas with Pear's stuff, every time I hear him playing, every single time I hear him playing, I'm met with, this man is one of the greatest living guitar players.
Per?
Yes.
Aye, totally fair. Because everything he does, whether he's playing slow or fast, is tasty. It's totally tasteful. And I don't mean that as in Jeff isn't, but a lot of Jeff's stuff is technicality over substance.
Yep.
Is that maybe a fair way to put it, or an accurate way to put it? Versus Per, even when he's ripping the piss. I mean, case in point, the Illusionist solo. Disgustingly outside the box, and yet you could whistle it.
Yeah, Jeff comes from the school of Jason Becker, and Per comes from the school of Alan Holdsworth. And I think that Per does what I like about Alan Holdsworth, which is he has all those weird sounds that he plays, but Per always plays them in contexts that make sense to me. So it's like I get all of the best parts of Alan Holdsworth when I listen to Per. With Jeff, he does the Becker thing, and he's got all those metal influences, but I don't think he brings nearly as much new to the table. Or certainly, he doesn't bring as much exciting to the table for me compared to Per Nilsson. So
yeah, I mean, Andre's comment's probably the best. Per Nilsson, because he's subbed in Meshuggah. Aye. Fair?
Phil has to leave.
If you can fit Frederick Thorndahl's shoes, yes. And again, you're talking about Alan Holdsworth. Frederick's biggest influence is obviously Holdsworth.
So this is the first time this is going to happen in the whole thing, but we're going against what people vote on this, I think. I think we're in agreement.
Going to have to. Big Phil, thanks very much for coming out again, buddy. Love you big time. Be good.
Everything Per plays is tasteful, Chris. I
can't think of a single thing I've heard of Per playing that isn't just ridiculous.
Yeah, sorry guys, fuck you.
Even like when you see him at clinics and he goes, shout a mode.
Yeah.
And somebody goes, set a lock in. And before you know it, he's like, right, cool, here's this really minted motif that I've just come out of nowhere.
And again, I've done a transcription screen doing Per Nilsson stuff because that was my choice. Those are things that I legitimately wanted to do.
I think as a transcriber that would be not only sickeningly unhappy that you don't have the same level of skills as him, but also eye-openingly beautiful.
Yeah.
That you can go, fuck, there's somebody there that could do that.
Yeah. He plays like a keyboard player, you know? It's great.
It's funny you say that, very much so. He sounds like Bernie Burrell. Which is where Chris Poland comes in as well. Is he in the...
Chris isn't in here, actually.
Put them back. Take them back.
All right, you can just pretend that says Chris Poland, right?
Right, there's my double joker.
Whoever's on there gets eliminated.
Right, okay. Fair.
I don't mean that. All right, who have you got? This can be Chris Poland. Go on.
Oh, yeah! James Hetfield.
Kerry King.
I mean, Hetfield wins. End of.
Yeah.
You know what? It's not an end of because they're two bands of a similar era who have got die-hard fans. Can't deny that. So, we'll go slightly off topic. I got Kieran a really stupid Christmas present. One of the options was a Slayer wallet with a chain on it. It was coolly quite heavily embroidered and Slayer logo and all that. And I thought, you know what, like that looks far too cool. So I got him what was a box with a logo on the front that said Special Force, not Special Forces. And it was like the British flag on camo. And it had a Velcro wallet and a really terrible fucking webbed bell and a pen in it. But I nearly bought the Slayer wallet. And I think the bigger influence of Kerry King is probably the amount of merch that's out there. But that's not to say that Metallica don't have a disgusting amount of merch as well.
Well, we're asking who we know James is more influential.
This man wins purely because he's down picks.
Well, he's a better guitar player.
He's down picks, and that's the end of it.
It's like if you could choose to be either of these guitar players tomorrow, you're gonna be James Hetfield. There's no discussion around that one. Anyone that says they would rather be Kerry King as a guitar player than James Hetfield,
as in the Beastie Boys,
stop talking to me and go away. Just go away. Just fuck off. Turn round. Walk out my studio door. Walk 100 meters that way. Go play in the road, because the society doesn't need you. Society doesn't need you.
Per can't be caught off guard musically. Fucking Matthias made him jam over an 11/8 track and it changed the key every 4 bars and he killed it. That is him or the back, innit though? He's the kind of guy that like his ear clicks and goes, right, I know what I'm playing here. And he probably could have picked out what was coming next as well.
So I'm not going to insult anyone's intelligence.
But 8% of you should go in the bin. We love you anyway.
It was it was actually 10 years ago, wasn't it, Chris? I'm just waiting on ice.
We don't need ice.
I need ice. Let me phone her. She's slacking.
She's slacking. He's at it, by the way. Actually at it.
Pick 2 more cards.
Put them in the right piles then.
James Hetfield.
If Melissa doesn't hit you a slap on live stream, I'll be very impressed. Over under. What Levi doesn't realise is I'm counting these cards. I'm going to win all the money at the end.
She's not picking up.
Good.
She better be dead.
You'll be if you
This
fucking
is
hears
mine,
it.
This is mine, is it?
Yes. You will be dead if she hears it.
Okay.
Right, okay. I win.
Yeah?
I win.
Who you got?
Guthrie Govan.
Rusty Cooley.
Oh, maybe no. Fuck.
There's a discussion to be had. I mean, there's no discussion to be had. Guthrie
think-
is the better guitar player.
I think Rusty is a ridiculous player. There is no arguing otherwise. But Guthrie seems to cover all bases.
Yeah.
And he's this guy that's held in such a high regard and on this ridiculous pedestal. And I mean, with great credit to him.
Yeah, yeah.
That we know. I can't sling any mud at him and say people hold him in too high a regard. Because he has some sort of weird guitar wizard.
Well, I was thinking about this the other day. Guthrie had the magic Goldilocks thing going on for him, which is don't get me wrong, he is one of the greatest guitar players in the world.
Mhm.
But we know many people that are amazing, amazing guitar players. And we're seeing some of them come up on the scene today, right? Internet guitar players. But Guthrie was just really in the right place at the right time. He was a great player, and he was in the right place for the internet to just rocket him into superstardom.
It helped as well that he was a cool personality. Because he's quite...
Chris, I'm sure Chris is going to jump in on this one. Guthrie just turned 50. It was his 50th birthday a couple of days ago.
Oh, really?
50th birthday. Where does time go, man? Where does it... What happens?
Out the door.
50 years of age.
Funnily, you say that, Chris. I don't know if you were here at the time. We were talking about Matthias and we were talking about Chronicle, and I was saying that, like, I love the fact that he's so into it. And, like, if you listen to any Freak Kitchen, I didn't know about Chronicle beforehand before I'd listened to a lot of Freak Kitchen, but then you hear some of the stuff that he's playing and he does that weird thing where he does like 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with his licks, and it's like, oh man, there's so much playfulness in the rhythmic aspect of Matthias's playing that's so cool.
I know what's happened.
Chris has said, wasn't it also just the timing and luck for Guthrie? Yes, and skill.
It was no, but that's exactly the point. It was timing and luck, because I remember before Erotic Cakes come out. Actually, so I grew up in. I went to college in Colchester, and Guthrie was a known name on that. So I was given the Erotic Cakes demos years before they came out on cassette tape. When I was in college, everybody on the guitar scene was talking about Guthrie. He'd won Guitarist of the Year years before Erotic Cakes. That was in the 90s. He won Guitarist of the Year.
Did he? I didn't know that stuff.
Years before. He did one of the old. He did Waves on one of those like Mike Varney compilation type things.
Oh, did he?
Years and years ago.
I've no doubt that these songs have been floating about for a long time, and that Erotic Cakes just came out as an album when he was like, well, people have heard these things. Because even as did they not have a lot of experience more as an educator first than he did with like Erotic
That's
Cakes
what I
and
was
stuff
going to
coming
say.
out?
So like everyone knew who he was on the guitar scene, but he didn't close to get the credit that he deserved. And then somehow the internet thing just exploded for him, because he was doing the teaching thing. He was in all the magazines, and I think Melissa I think she bought us ice out of the bag and then tripped over and spilled all the ice on the floor.
Oh man, tell her just you need to stop being so demanding on your partner. But I'm going to say the unfortunate thing is Rusty's such a monster player, but he's paired up at the wrong time.
Against an unfortunate one,
and it's this is not a fair pairing up, because they can hold their own, but we're talking about influence. It seems to be like the prevalent theme here.
My most influential and formative in my formative years, the most influential times in my life were I used to go and see Guthrie play every week at the Basement in Chelmsford. And this was after the internet popularity thing had started to kick off still. I mean, it was around that time. And it was tragic. You would go there, and I think when we started going there, it was £3 to get in. And you would be sitting in a room, sitting a metre away from Guthrie playing just the most outrageous. He's never come close to playing anything like he used to play with the Fellowship. And honestly, mate, there'd be 20 people in the room. No one cared. I'm sure he probably couldn't even play there anymore, because it would just be mobs of people.
In the same way, though, Matthias Clun came to Wisha
Yeah.
for one of Andy's
Right.
master classes.
Did you just drop all that on the floor?
We were in
To go get more.
the local pub, Gertwood's.
Do you want to get a glass and have a drink?
Matthias is playing fucking tunes.
If you want me to.
Well, you've been requested.
Or
Are you coming to join us?
I can, yeah.
Get over here.
Right, well, I'll go get
Get a glass.
Because I'll be down if I'm sitting here.
Here comes a new challenger.
I didn't.
Oh, there's not a poll up. You're right.
I didn't
Sorry,
do a poll.
Johnny.
Sorry. All right, I'll do the poll.
Levi is a bad man. I mean, this is one we probably didn't need a poll for. But it'd be really interesting to see what other people say. because big love to Rusty, man. That he's just a monster, and we were very lucky enough to actually get him to come on the podcast and chat with us for a bit, and he was super down to earth and could not have been nicer.
Yeah,
and a very educated man when it comes to music, like clearly into his teaching.
Yeah. Actually, around the same time I used to be going to seeing Guthrie, I had liaised with Rusty in interview format when I was in college, because I loved his playing back then. I have his self-titled instrumental album on CD. I even have the Outworld album, actually. So I've loved Rusty and respected Rusty is probably an even better way of putting it for a very long time as well. But yeah, if you could play like either one of these players tomorrow, who would you play like? I have had a Guthrie Govan signature, and I now have a Rusty Cooley signature.
I mean, fair enough. Yeah, I think Rusty's got a incredible amount of influence because of how long he's been in the game. I mean, when it came to like seeing guys on the internet who were ridiculously fast, you remember, was it Francesco
Ferrari? Yeah.
Ferrari?
I
Was
have
it
that album
Ferrari?
I'm just going to throw a comment here. Chris, whereabouts? Don't give us details. I don't need a road or anything like that. Whereabouts is Guthrie living now? Is he still in the UK? Carry on.
That's all right. But you get my point. Like, Rusty has been a name on the internet that people have known and respected as guitarists for a long time. You remember the Guitar Sucks compilations on YouTube? And there was loads of people on them. There was Christoph Golden and Bumblefoot and fucking loads of players. In fact, I'm pretty sure they had Rick Graham when Rick still had his long hair and he was still pretty heavy when he was playing the Universe. And like loads of other players on those stuff. And then you've got Guthrie who came a bit, I don't want to say more recently, because I mean, when did Automatic Gates come out? 2008 or something?
2006, I think.
Six? I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where does time go? 15 fucking years, Levi. Nearly 16 years. Jesus Christ.
East London, okay. 15 years and he's still not released another fucking solo album. Chris, get to work.
Aye. Chris, how do you recognise great guitar players? That's a really good question.
You don't. Well, you can't argue it. You just feel it, don't you?
Aye.
It's something that moves you. Because I'll keep arguing Danny Gatton. I love Danny Gatton to bits, and most people don't get it. And I didn't when I first listened to it, but now when I listen to Danny, I'm just like, it just gets me. I hear it and I'm like, oh, fucking yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm never going to try and convince other people to that because it just moves me.
What with Danny? I don't think it's about convincing other people. Like, some music makes the hair in the back of your neck stand up, and some doesn't, and that's going to be a totally personal thing.
So
sure, there's plenty of guitarists that I would listen to that I think are fucking banging that people are just not interested in.
We're going with Guthrie on that one.
Yeah, it's going to have to be. I'm really sorry, Rusty, because genuinely you're an absolute monster. In the best term. I realise that calling somebody a monster is probably a really bad terminology to use.
I didn't see that, Chris, but I would imagine number one on that will be Bumblefoot, won't it?
Who wouldn't he be afraid of fucking Ron?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't he? Nobody. Because even if you are a faster or tighter player than him, his ability to like probably outplay you, to take your skills and bastardise whatever you want to try against them, would upset you.
Okay, I'll take that. Who have you got? I
You
don't
first.
know who you've got, but I know you're going to go with who's on this card.
Okay, right then. Jason Becker. Michael Romeo.
Oh, no!
Fucking hell. Join us, come on.
I know who's going
You
to
don't
win
have to
this.
sit, you're right, if you're comfortable over there.
I have to apologise because I look like Sully from Monsters Inc. But then I wasn't expecting to be.
I'm Mike Wazowski. Good pair.
Yay! That makes me feel more part of the family.
Mike Wazowski. Join us.
Hello there.
Would you like some Gordon and MacPhail? It's really nice.
Okay, yeah.
It's nicer than the Jack and Victor. Not that the
That
Jack and
doesn't
Victor's
surprise
bad.
me in the least.
The Giant Victor is nice, but it's a blended whiskey versus an
Let's see.
unusual nice
So this one hurts me
Sorry?
because I know that everybody is going to pick Jason Becker. For me, I'm going with Romeo.
Are we talking influence? Are we talking skill?
We're talking personal influence. We're talking, if I could play like one of these players, for me, it's Romeo all day long. All day long. Michael Romeo is hands down my favourite metal guitar player that has ever lived. So
Because there's so much finesse in his playing, isn't there? Like, it's playful.
yeah,
There's fun.
but you're going to go with Becker, I would assume.
For me, personal influence, I've listened to way more of Becker stuff than I have Michael Romeo's.
Now you just have to hear us ranting about guitar players.
Slanjava.
Bastrovia.
Hebny Jesse Horilesi.
We.
Mountains and rivers, let's get fucked up.
See.
In Slovakian? Thanks, Martin. It's
Um,
good having a Slovakian in your band. I'm a polyglot! Yay!
Yeah, it hurts me that people are going to go with Becca on this one. I understand why people are going to go with Becca. It's an unfortunate pairing. Michael Romeo is going to win in a lot of scenarios here, but Jason Becker is one of the greats, and of course with his battle with ALS, he always gets elevated to that position of like untouchable godlike status.
Probably in the same way that Randy Rhoads did, because
Yeah.
I don't want to say peaked before his time. That's not the right way I mean it, but like
he didn't get
the
to
brightest candle
fulfill
burnt
his
twice
full
as quick.
potential.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And unfortunately, Michael Romeo, he's got another solo album coming out, and I say solo album, it would just be another bad Symphony X album without Russell Allen on vocals, which I felt the last one was. So
Remember we went to see Symphony X and Michael Romeo blew the tits off us.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect it. Just this big heavy guy playing this guitar, but like throwing it about like he didn't give a fuck, like he wasn't interested. But the control this guy had, unbelievable. And even the vocalist was ridiculous. You'd have enjoyed him.
I'll take you to
Ross Allen?
Symphony X at some point.
I think you've definitely, I want to say, made me listen to, but that feels like gunpoint. You've let
It very much is
let
gunpoint
me
with
listen
Symphony
to
X for you.
Symphony X.
You've not listened to any Jason Becker. I know of the two, you probably lean more towards Romeo.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's pick your favourite disease for you, I think.
I think Chris seems to be name dropping harder than you do these days.
Yeah.
Good on you, big man. I love it. No, in a good way. I mean, I think anybody would be brought to tears if they went to visit Jason Becker and they let them hear music, because what an incredible composer. Outside everything else, is Michael Lee Firkins in here?
He's not. No.
Fuck you.
I'll tell you what.
I was talking to Andy Tornsard and he was asking, what guitarists would you recommend that are really good with whammy bars and like trems that just like, they do something different but they've got great control? And I was like, Firkins out the back.
Yeah.
Because Becker.
Chris is going to name
Firkins.
drop with Firkins as well.
Of course he is. And I'm into it. I'm cool with it. It's fine.
Yeah. I miss my Michael Romeo signature. I don't feel the need to own a Jason Becker signature.
Why?
You guys
The
are
numbers
all,
are so cool.
you're all bad bastards. I know you're all going to pick Jason Becker. But yeah, for me it's Romeo.
We're going to be split on this. I'm saying Becker.
Yeah, I know. That's okay.
Yeah. No, what? Why don't we put both of them in the pile?
No, I lose the popular vote. That's okay. It's at the end of the day, Romeo's not going to win overall, is he? So I'm going to have to see him get knocked out sooner or later. Melissa's got to argue for Mark Ribbo.
Oh, who said that?
Yavor.
So, there's this little artist, Levi.
Tom Waits.
Yes, it is.
Pick two cards, please.
Okay.
Every Tom Waits song.
No, because
And a guitar.
real fans will know he started making jazz, then he made blues, now he makes art. Or he did make art.
He just makes me nauseous.
We're gonna fight.
I've never listened to any Tom Waits. I'm just babbing you up.
That's even worse. Okay, I'm just any.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter. Okay, that one.
Zach Wilde.
That one.
The Harbinger. Tim Henson. I mean,
Sorry, Tim.
Zach wins.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not to say Tim Henson's not like an influential guitarist, but he doesn't have anywhere near the tenure or reach as Zach does still. Sorry, Tim. Game over.
So I will know people in this battle because I do know who Zach Wilde is.
Yes.
Yep.
So Tim Henson plays in Polyphia.
Tim Henson is the son of the famous Jim Henson. In that he's a bit of a muppet.
And his dad puts his hand up his arse while he's performing.
I really could go without that image. Thank you for that.
Sorry, I just decided to go completely
I like
left
this
field
comment.
there.
I want you to go with your heart, Mike, in those situations.
Melissa, we've got Tom Waits sounds like a pug singing Bob Dylan.
Well, you know what? Name redacted. I have nothing to back up why it's not that, so yeah.
Tom Waits invented Cookie Monster vocals.
He is the
Amazing.
Marge Simpson of the music industry. I am aware of that, but I love him. He's beautiful.
I agree with Chris on this one. So Zach, and I also prefer his Pride and Glory album, the Pride and Glory stuff.
Machine Gun Man's the last song in Pride and Glory?
Like
No,
ninth.
that's ninth.
Yeah.
But it's on that album, isn't it?
And we like that Pride and Glory record. We've listened to that album a lot.
I have that on a playlist that I created of mostly Zach Wilde and Ozzy Osbourne, and it's called Fuck Me Gently with a Chainsaw.
The gist of it is that Zach Wilde is an incredible songwriter as well.
Yeah, great songwriter. He had a great voice before alcohol and bad technique killed it. But
And far, far too much coffee. and trying to be James Hetfield.
If I could play like either of these men, it's going to be Zakk Wylde all day long. I would.
Sorry, Andrew, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong because Tim Henson did not play on No More Tears, and that's the end of that.
Yeah. Yeah, Andre can't even spell Zach's name right. Like, come on.
Even better.
I don't know what I would give in order to own a Zakk Wylde Gibson bullseye.
Look at your first comment.
Absolutely.
I wish I could have a second puberty.
I love it.
Thank you, more.
Also, we have to respect Zakk Wylde's ability to act, because Zakk Wylde, during that period of his career, played a Southerner despite being from New York. Jersey. He's a Jersey boy, isn't he? I think he's a Jersey boy.
I don't know where he's from.
Yeah. So, Zakk Wylde.
Do the things you do.
Tim. Well, I'm not interested in your sexual preferences, Andre. I don't care that Tim Henson's hot. Zakk
Wylde is definitely hotter.
Yeah.
So is...
Who would you rather fuck?
I would rather Zakk Wylde fucked me than Tim Henson did. I mean, I'm not going to be able to fuck Zakk Wylde back.
Would you rather get fucked by Zakk or fuck Tim?
Fucked by Zakk.
Same.
I'm a star fucker. Sorry.
Take a shot.
No,
every time.
Peter. No.
No, we'll die.
There'll be alcohol poison within 25 seconds.
Yeah. So Zakk Wylde. Sorry, Zakk Wylde wins that. That's not even close.
I don't think we're going to get to round 2 without dying, by the way.
Okay, come on. I'll pick 2 more.
Ooh, I've only got a couple left.
Paul Gilbert,
Polly Wally.
John Petrucci.
Paul Gilbert. Sorry.
Paul Gilbert or John Petrucci?
Paul Gilbert's never asked why women don't go to his gigs. Just saying it. Just saying it.
Paul Gilbert gets women to go to his gigs by having his wife play piano for him.
And that's fine. At least there's some female representation in his band.
That you had to marry to get to be in the band.
But John Petrucci is like king of the virgins.
Or is he?
Oh man, he's a fedora in person.
Oh, Jesus.
That's really unfair. That's totally shit because John's a ridiculous guitarist and he's greatly influential on a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
Including you. And so's Paul though, which is a really hard one for you, is it not?
No, not a hard one. Not a hard one.
Still
at all.
Paul?
Well, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because it's like...
Given how much time you spent on the Racer X forums versus the fact you've got a John Petrucci, or sorry, a Dream Theater tattoo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Paul. There's no hesitation in my mind. Paul was a bigger influence on me. John changed, but Paul set me on the path that I'm on. John altered my direction at one point, but Paul was the artist that made me really start taking things seriously. So Paul Gilbert all day long for me.
100%, and the polls at 72% for Paul. So yes, and the other 28% of you may leave. Wimps and posers leave the hall.
Yeah. Paul also, I would argue, has a more varied catalogue. Even if you threw away all of his solo stuff and his instrumental stuff, I would, if it was just Dream Theater versus Mr. Big, I'm going to take Mr. Big over Dream Theater.
Really?
Because I love rock music, and that's what Mr. Big is. They're a rock band, so
That's fair.
yeah. Paul does not his name on every product he can. John will be selling his own brand of air by 2026.
It's funny, Chris has said Paul's the most gentle guy out there. When you meet him, you know. I met him at a masterclass he did in Glasgow 2007 maybe.
Someone's pointed out that Paul even influenced my PlayStation Network name.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Miss Streeter,
Yeah.
still, which was your username on the Racer X forums.
Yeah.
Hence why I pointed it out. But I met Paul at this masterclass in Glasgow. It was run by Sound Control, I believe,
Yep.
in partnership with Laney, because obviously Ibanez and Laney are both under Headstock Distribution. That's me getting geeky. Anyway, met Paul. One of the first things I said to him, out of just sheer, I don't even know, like needing to be sectioned and fangirling, was like, I could kiss you right now. And he just kind of looked at me. And I was like, I hope that was in your deaf ear. I'm going to leave right now. He just kind of looked at me, and so did the security guy. And I was like, that was like,
I didn't mean for that
symbolically,
to be as intense.
I'm not actually going to win you. You're good.
I think you should have after that.
I wish I could have.
Proved a point.
You think I could have got some of his skills?
No.
Don't
I'm
say
just
that,
going
Fanny.
through my emails because I know it's in here. It must be in here somewhere.
What?
My emails with Paul from back in, I don't know, 2013,
Ooh.
where he gave me a nickname. He called me Levi the Outside Guy. Because when I had a lesson with him, I was into all the bebop things. So I was playing all the jazz licks
Right.
in it. So I was like, "Do you remember me?" He was like, "Of course, Levi the outside guy." And I'm like,
Paul just seems
I'll
like
go
the
with that.
coolest
Yeah.
guy, doesn't he?
I go with that.
Really?
Paul was also my my first
Crush.
interview, my first proper when I started doing on camera interviews.
Oh, really?
The first one was Paul Gilbert. So
I would imagine he would be a very forgiving person
Yes.
to interview.
not when you're sat on his deaf side. I mean, he's
That's-
very forgiving, but having to constantly shout at him and him saying, "I'm really sorry, I can't make out what you're saying because you're sat on my deaf side." It's like, why have we sat this man on this side?
Fair.
You feel his pain, don't you?
I do feel his pain.
What? Right, so Paul.
Paul,
Sorry, John.
Paul
Go
wins.
to bed.
I've also realised there's actually an odd number here, so somebody's going to get a free pass.
But there's still a Joker card. Isn't there?
No, well,
There was two, wasn't there?
I didn't put Joker on both of them. I thought everyone knows Rob Chapman's the biggest Joker.
Oh, okay, fair enough. The real Joker.
We'll have to do a threes up for the final one then.
I'm going to go right in the middle.
You pick the last one.
That's a great pick.
Who you got?
This is a really shit battle, like in a good way.
Okay.
We've got Vinnie Moore,
Yeah.
neoclassical king, and Paul Masvidal, Death and Cynic king. Oh, fuck.
It's fabulous.
I know who
It's a
you're
hard
going to
pick.
go with.
Who?
You'll go with Paul Masvidal.
You think so?
Yeah.
I play more Vinnie Moore than I do Paul Masvidal stuff
Okay.
because Cynic is so mental. The newest Cynic album, Ascension Codes, I'm not big on it. My wee brother loved it. Maybe it'll take me a couple of listens because it's very ambient. But Trace Denier, obviously I'm a big Death fan.
I love Trace Denier.
But Vinnie Moore? Vinnie Moore is Yngwie Malmsteen minus being a wanker. He is, but.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And even better chops.
And he became a blues guitar player at one point in his career.
I don't remember that. I just remember like Mind's Eye and shit.
Yeah, after all the shrapnel stuff, he started doing like bluesy stuff.
So did Paul Gilbert.
Yeah.
We forgive him. It's fine.
Yeah. No, Vinny's bluesy stuff is really good. I mean, I think Vinnie Moore's the better guitar player. Paul Masvidal is a more creative guitar player.
Definitely.
I would happily argue that.
Trace Denier's amazing. You're right, Connor.
Yeah.
I love that album.
I
used to know how to play the space for this.
I transcribed both of the intro solos from both of Vinnie Moore's instructional videos, which are just some of the most outrageous
Shred these cunting.
guitar playing that you've ever heard. You just hear it and you're like, how is he playing so clean? I just don't understand. That's not real.
What I hate the most is Meltdown.
Yeah.
Because it's disgusting. You hear that rhythm part and you're like, oh, that'd be dead easy to play to. And then he plays and you're like the perfect level of really fast and super tight.
There's something floating in my drink.
Me too, just drink it.
It looks like
Grass?
grass.
Drink it, shut up.
Did you drop the ice on the floor?
I left it there and I got some more. I must have.
Yngwie, does anyone know that his Rolexes are even fake ones? I mean, we probably would have all guessed, to be honest, Chris. I'd be shocked if he's actually playing Fender guitars. These fake Ferrari badges on them.
So seems
Alleged, before we get sued.
Vinnie Moore.
And you know what? I love that people agreed with me there. Because I would have expected people to go with Paul Masvidal as well, though, because he is, Chuck versus Dave Mustaine. Oh, Death versus Megadeth. That's an interesting one. I think Chuck will probably get quite a lot of votes because he was, again, like we were talking about people who maybe like passed away before their prime.
Yep.
Versus Dave, who's kind of ripped the arse out of it for a long time.
It's a
SCH.
C in there.
Sculdiner.
I don't think people mind. I'm
They fucking
obviously
should.
quite drunk at this point.
I can't believe we had like 3 halves and we're both pretty merry.
That'll do.
Cheap dates.
Very much so. I've always been a cheap date. Songwriting, Dave Mustaine. Guitarist, Chuck.
I was never into Def, so Dave Mustaine.
That's why you're
And
wrong.
I don't rate Dave as a guitar player. So
I mean, you have seen the videos of him playing with that symphony with that hollow guitar. That's why you don't rate him as a guitar player.
I think it'd be interesting to see where people are going to go on this one.
Yes, very interested. Connor, if you haven't played that back to front, I'll be quite upset.
So whilst people are voting on this one, I'm going to try and deduce what these final 3 are.
But you wrote them, so you'll know.
Well, is my memory that good? Can I remember who's in there?
Very well be. Right, okay, let's do it.
I know Steve Vai is one of these.
Got to be. Chris, I think you're fair. Mustaine did make more of a difference than Chuck, but Chuck should have made more of a difference than Dave. Problem being, Death felt to bits, Control Denied is shit. It's not shit, but the vocals are terrible. And Dave ripped the arse out of it for too long.
Greg Howe's in here.
Right, so Vi, Greg Howe, and there was 3 non-metal players and you only picked 2.
I didn't. Steve Moss.
Okay, right, okay, shit.
Joker of the pack. One of the Jokers.
I did say this a wee bit ago and you said, no, there's only one Joker.
Well, I haven't put Joker on the pack because people could still pick him.
The people have spoken.
Dave Mustaine.
Dave?
He's a much more influential guitar player, makes sense. Slash, Greg Howe, Steve Vai.
Definite Joker in there, isn't there?
Yeah. Now
Steve Vai. Steve Vai's a terrible guitarist.
4.
Obviously not.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You're right, Chris. A lot of people become super famous because they've passed away before people can say what would they have done if they got further than had they kind of just faded into obscurity. I think Dimebag could have been in there in that regard of held on a pedestal because he passed away versus what would have seen what had happened with Damage Plan and whatever else.
This is a really, really weird one for me because I don't like Steve's playing at all.
Yeah, he's probably the most influential guitarist on earth.
I don't like Greg's playing. He's got some stuff that he's done that I really like, but for the most part, I don't like Greg Howe's playing, and I don't like Slash's playing. So I don't know. My gut tells me Greg Howe. If I could play like one of these 3 gentlemen tomorrow, probably Greg Howe.
Do you want to sell Gibsons and not play them? Be Slash.
Steve Vai's obviously going to win this though
Vi
because
wins.
he has this strange hold on guitar players where they just will suck on his teeth no matter what he. You know, mind we were talking about his new record and he came out and he was like, "Oh, I used this Gretsch to record the track." Have you seen he started doing promotional videos for that track now?
Huh?
Yeah, so he's done like videos of him playing in the studio and it's all on an Ibanez hollow body. And it's like, dude, you were literally in the interviews telling people that you played a Gretsch hollow body in this. Like, come on. But business.
Allegiances,
Yeah.
yes, and that's a long form of business allegiance relationship.
In terms of if I could have one of their albums for the rest of time, it would be Slash's Appetite for Destruction. So
But it's not Slash's.
no, but it's that he's playing on it. So Greg Howe would be.
Excuse me, Izzy Stradlin would be really angry with you.
The Marigold record. I really like that Marigold record. Fuck you. I don't care what anybody says about
I don't know any Greg Howe. Any.
And with Steve Vai,
Passion Warfare.
probably
Probably
White Snake, Slip of the Tongue. I prefer that even over the David Lee Roth.
One slip of the tongue, you're in the shit, as they say.
I was working, and he's probably listening now. Actually, I was with a student the other day, and at the end of the lesson, we started talking about video games, and he's given up on playing Sekiro. He was like, "It's just too hard for me." And I was
Cannot blame him.
and I was like, "Dude, you're such a fucking pussy." And
You didn't even play the Lion King on the fucking Sega Mega Drive because that shit's difficult than more difficult than any game I've ever played.
I said, "Dude, you're such a pussy," and without skipping a beat, he came back with, "You are what you eat," and I was like, "You've got me there, sir."
I mean, in terms of wit, that's 10 out of 10, isn't it, really?
So well done, Jeff, for that. I did laugh when he said that, and I said I'm going to remember that for all time. And I've told that to 2 people in the last 48 hours.
You've
So.
also used it at least once.
Yeah.
I mean, credit to the man, it's great patter.
Steal from the best.
So Steve Vai's going to win that, yeah?
Yes.
Right, cool, guys.
Invitations of most sincere form of flattery, is that what they say?
Now, evidently, this has taken a lot longer than I was expecting it to. So we'll blast through these without much thought, just gut instincts.
Are we just going to go, like, surefire, like lightning rounds?
Yeah.
Hello, Dream Purple Floyd. Hello, everyone. Just tuned in. What are these polls? We've basically been taking random guitarists that Levi wrote out on a deck of cards and just kind of being like, this guy versus this guy, with no real context of who's better, whether it be like influence or skill, and just kind of judging it on that merit. However, we've kind of shortlisted now about half the deck of the people that were the winners, and things are going to get pretty difficult, I think.
Yeah. So,
The new Vi album's got Bella on bass, and Vinny on drums. I'm assuming that's Vinny Colatura, or Colura, however you say it. Colura. Coluta, sorry. A couple of halves, obviously. Get what I mean?
The only way I'd be interested in the new Vi album is if when you open it up, there's a £20 note inside it. Right, okay. So, Frank Gambale versus Vinnie Moore.
Vinnie Moore.
Frank Gambale.
Right, who's the first person to write in chat that's going to say Gambale or Moore?
I'm going to put the poll up, and then people have got 60 seconds, okay?
Right, okay.
Oh, no, don't super chat myself. Frank Gambale. You guys have got 60 seconds.
Frankie Valli. Or, I don't know, Chris Rea.
60 seconds, guys. Frank Gambale or Vinnie Moore?
I thought some shite, didn't I?
I think it's the whiskey that's done it.
Vinny's an incredible player, like an absolutely incredible player. But
If you imagine there's a door, and this just opens the door, that's the problem.
there's only one Frank Gambale. There's only one Frank Gambale. There's no one in the world sounds like Frank Gambale.
You sound like a football fan. There's only one Frank Gambale! There's only one Frank Gambale!
It's true. And that's why I have to give it to him. I think Vinny's probably recorded more music that I think is cool.
Aye.
But
like,
Frank is limitless potential.
So, aye. Vinnie Moore's a really cool neoclassical shredder. Nobody can do Gambale like Gambale. Okay, fair enough. And he's only just crept by halfway at 57%.
Oh, he's gone up. And it's 28 votes, so it's actually that's high. So, okay, fine.
That's a good representation.
Frank Gambale.
Good trips. Good trips.
Randy Rhoads versus Steve Vai. Oh, I like this. You guys have got 60 seconds. Randy Rhoads.
Tommy Emmanuel would have been great in this list, Chris, but it seems to be we've went with mostly electric guitarists, especially shredders. But, I mean, Tommy probably comes out on top of the majority of these guys, if we're being critical here, because he's not only a songwriter, but he can do whatever he wants.
This is actually my favourite one that we've done so far, because people have... I'm going to sound an arrogant motherfucker when I say this. I think people say they love Steve Vai because you're just supposed to say that you love Steve Vai.
Really?
But at the same time, Randy Rhoads is dead, so you can't not pick Randy Rhoads. So
You can easily not pick Randy Rhoads because he's dead.
it won't hurt his feelings.
He's not got to know about it.
Steve Vai or Randy Rhoads? I will acknowledge that Steve's a better guitar player than Randy Rhoads. I'm happy to concede that point.
Influence.
In terms of influence, Steve's probably influenced more people than Randy Rhoads. Randy was Ozzy's guitarist on those first two Ozzy albums.
Crazy Train, Blizzard of Oz. What was the second album?
Diary of a Madman.
Diary of a Madman and Blizzard of Oz. That's the two albums in it.
So...
Have you put a poll up? You did?
There is a poll up, and it is...
Randy's at 55. Can we just pick Randy Marsh over everybody?
Randy Marsh is the greatest guitar hero of all time.
But he is.
I know, that's why I said it.
See ya!
We're at 29 votes, and it's gone with Randy.
Great episode.
See ya! I'm okay with that. 29 votes, we go Randy. Haha, we got rid of I. Didn't see it happening. There we go. I thought he'd probably win.
Okay, kids, I'm going to leave you to it.
Okay.
It was a pleasure.
You
Thanks
going
very much
back
for
to
joining us.
A Wolf Among Us?
What?
Wolf Among Us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Well, also, you guys are talking about people that have no idea. You might as well just be going boop 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 boop.
But join in, come on, it's fun.
Mike, no.
Okay.
No, enjoy your whiskey. Have fun, everyone. Be safe.
Will you enjoy
Don't
your
get
whiskey?
mad.
Do you want to top up before you go?
Oh no.
Sure.
I'm gonna go and do something sacrilegious. I'm gonna go and pour mulled wine inside it as well.
Bitch just drinks fucking mulled wine and whiskey.
Ginger wine and whiskey.
No.
I'll let you away. Would you mean no?
Red wine and whiskey is the one.
Because you're trying. Was it the American?
Randy Marsh is
Was it done
Lord.
before?
No, it's like alcoholism.
Aye.
That's not like
Randy Marsh is Lord as well.
1% plus 1%. La la la. I am bored. Doing toil on a Wednesday.
Bumblefoot. Alan Holdsworth.
Oh, this is going to be a really difficult sound, man.
Bumblefoot versus Alan Holdsworth. Easy for me.
Alan. Bumblefoot's an incredible musician, but I think Alan's probably influenced more people. Would I be wrong, Trips?
I'm going to say this once.
I can't believe we've got 40 people have stayed on listening to us for 2.5 hours.
Don't fuck this up, people. The correct answer here is clearly Bumblefoot.
Is it?
Yeah. Bumblefoot. For me, Bumblefoot. Bumblefoot's got more records that I would rather listen to. Thank you, Andre.
Oh, thanks very much, buddy.
Yeah. Really enjoyed your
Rhapsody
contributions.
Balboa, you fucking know it. By the way, I think Paul might have an album that he's sitting on. I speak to him quite regularly. He now stays in the States, actually. But there might be more coming. And this is an OG shirt as well. This is somebody being force-fed KFC by ghouls till they die.
Nice.
That's nice, isn't it? It's killing it.
Stephen said wine and whiskey, she'll be sick in the morning. Melissa always drinks wine, and which she has a song on her album called I Drink Whiskey. Well, it's called Whiskey and Wine. I drink whiskey and wine. She does. I don't know why. She has a nice big glass of red wine and then puts whiskey in it.
That would blow the cock off me.
Shot of whiskey, like
absolutely blow me butts. Was it New York old fashions we were drinking with the red wine in them?
The floats on them. Yeah.
Is that right? Aye.
That's not a New York old fashioned. That's New York sour.
New York sour. Sorry, I couldn't remember the name of it. That's what I was trying to get to. Sorry.
Melissa said, sorry babe, I wasn't adding anything to the chat, which is fair, she can't really comment on this, but if you want me to slag off someone or talk shit about assholes, I'll come back.
I'm sitting right here, Melissa, fucking hell, wait till I go home. Want to chat shit about an asshole, at least let me leave.
Yeah, for me, it's Bumblefoot because he has more albums that I actually want to listen to. Alan was a more conventionally outrageous player. The thing that I will always say about Bumblefoot, and Chris was kind of alluding to it earlier with Guthrie holds Bumblefoot in some of the highest regard of guitar players, and I do too. I think Bumblefoot has so much that people they're just not aware of because he's a bit of an unknown name, but he is fantastically good. And if you dig into what he's doing, he does stuff that is just as hard to do as the stuff that Holdsworth's doing. He's a creative genius. Bumblefoot is one of the greatest of all time. And
you know what? I'll give you that one because I think Bumblefoot takes all of the madness of Alan Holdsworth and puts it into context where they're songs.
Yeah.
Versus Alan's, I'll just lean into the jazz side.
Yeah.
That fusion madness. Fuck it, if it's outside the box, you'll just need to deal with that. Okay, fair enough.
Bumblefoot. Boom.
Right, we're going with the people. The people have spoken.
Dimebag Darrell. Steve Morse.
Oh! I mean, Steve Morse didn't play in Rebel Meets Rebel. Are the Dixie Dregs racist?
No, definitely not.
I don't think Pantera are racist either. Phil had these moments.
Though, of course, much like the Dixie Chicks, who now just call themselves the Chicks, if the Dixie Dregs were to reform, they'd just have to call themselves the Dregs.
The Dregs of Society.
Have just called them the Dregs. So, Dimebag versus Steve Morse. So I assume Dimebag wins this, but for me, it's Steve Morse all day long. I wish that you had the breadth of knowledge of Steve Morse that I do. Because he's got so much going on. He's such a great player.
I mean, the joke's on you because I brought my headphones with me. Obviously, I'll need to walk home rather than drive. I'm going to listen to music on the way home. And you can tell me whatever album I'm going to listen to on the way home.
Any of that fucking Steve Moore stuff is just absolutely
You've had
fantastic.
Dixie Dregs on here before, and I was really impressed at the music, never mind anything else.
Yeah, Steve's just, he really is just another world.
Does it surprise you that Chris has chipped in and said Dime, considering the amount of names he was talking about earlier on that would be of guitar heritage?
But he's gone with both. He said Dime for me, Steve Morse for Dixie Dregs alone. And it's like...
No, that's Tribe Shift that wrote that.
Oh, sorry, I just saw the...
You're a bit confused, man.
I just saw the... Avatar? Is that what I'm going for?
Yeah, the thumbnail. I'll go for it. Avatar's probably the right way to do it, aye. Got to be in a specific mood to listen to Holdsworth. Dream Purple Floyd, you're bang on with that. I think anything of that kind of fusiony, out-the-box madness style, you've got to be ready for it. I think even with Sugar, sometimes you just need to be ready for that level of lunacy.
I'm going to go with whoever the chat go with as long as there's 30 votes on it.
Right, so where are we at? 31 votes, Steve wins.
And it's a close one.
You know what? Fair. I like that. That was a good game.
It's a really close one.
It was good.
I'm surprised by that, actually. I thought that was going to go Dime.
I was feeling
it. But to be fair, the reason I say that, it's the same as with Randy Rhoads. Like, Dime's dead. Therefore, you have to go with Dime. That's what people do. And objectivity goes out the window when someone's dead. And it goes out the window even faster when someone was murdered.
But I laughed at a Nathan Gale comment, so yeah. Is that fair?
Okay.
Paul Gilbert versus Dave Mustaine. I mean, Paul Gilbert.
Yep.
End of. We don't even need to...
I'm not even going to insult anybody's intelligence.
We don't need a poll there.
Paul Gilbert wins.
Meshuggah is jazz. You're right, Chris. It definitely is. It's just jazz with no need for key changes. Johnny, 5:45 start. Right, good, big man. Be good. Thanks very much for coming.
Yeah,
really
thanks for
appreciate it. I'm glad you tuned in.
Sorry, Steve Vai lost, man. Okay, Jason Becker
Versus
Matthias Eklund. So
Becker.
again, Jason Becker is going to win because of the ALS thing. This is how people's brains work.
I disagree. Becker's going to win because Becker set the pathway for every other shredder you can think of. Matthias never got the offer to play on a David Lee Roth album. How you go, name redacted? Dave could have won. And what planet?
He could have won. I mean, I've got a lot of shit on YouTube from people who take issue with my criticisms of Dave Mustaine.
I love Dave. I think Dave as a rhythm player is fantastic. His solos, dog meat. Absolute dog meat.
Dave Mustaine, or as I call him now, my boss.
Fair. I mean, I'm slagging him now, but if I get the chance to chat to him, I'll be like, Dave, I want to fucking suck your dick.
Yeah, I'm slagging him now, but you know, if his team start looking more closely at my YouTube channel, I'm gonna have to start deleting videos and being more positive.
Let's be more appropriate. We're no slagging Dave.
No.
What we're saying is there are better guitarists out there, and that's just fact.
So Tribe Shift makes a good point here. Jason Becker for the Cacophony and DLR album. Those are really good points. But you know what? So Chris has said Matthias, and I know how important Jason Becker is to Chris. So that's objectivity at the highest level. That really is.
Mm-hmm.
Objectivity at the highest level, and I respect that.
We would be having the same conversation had Jason not developed the LS.
We'd be having the conversation.
But would we really have to have any sort of question? Can you imagine how much further Jason would have went as a musician?
We just can't say that, because I think there was probably a point
That's what I'm saying, imagine.
we would have assumed that Malmsteen was going to go somewhere with his music.
Malmsteen didn't end up quadriplegic and still write a fucking beautiful album. More than one beautiful album. Come on.
I think that Matthias has a more unique and creative voice on the instrument, and I respect that. I do respect that he's got this unbelievable. He's instantly recognizable. He's the sort of player where he's so instantly recognizable that even if you're a huge fan of his playing, it's the Steve Vai syndrome. You can't copy Matthias's licks because they stand out too much. So you've got to, as Matthias would put it, grow your own moustache.
I think Chris has kind of got how I feel. He is more innovative, but Jason is a better composer. You're bang on. Saying that, a lot of the Freak Kitchen stuff is fucking banging.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from a look at my show off guitar point of view, or like these are complicated songs. As songs, they stand up themselves. Honey, you're a Nazi.
Here's the interesting thing: the
Tear Gas Jazz.
The distinction between composition and songwriting, they are two different things. You can be my pal Peter, it's not in the chat tonight. I don't think he's at the conservatoire in Glasgow.
Peter Rowan.
Yeah.
Because Peter's been in the chat plenty of times.
Has he?
Not tonight, but I've seen him plenty
so
before.
He's there doing composition.
Remember you talking about how really impressive Peter is as a player?
He's an incredible
as a
musician, and he's studying composition. He's a nerd for composition, whereas Melissa is a nerd for songwriting. And when I've sat down with the two of them and they talk a little bit about music and songwriting and composition, they come from totally different places, because songwriting and composition are two very different things.
Definitely.
Matthias is a songwriter. Jason is a composer. So I know Jason's going to win it, and I'm not disappointed by that one. I would have gone with Matthias myself, but
you know what? That was a good one, because it didn't split people in terms of like people getting angry, but everybody has been like, probably, well, if we're going to vote for X, or if people are saying this about the other party, then I'm going to have to go and listen to more about it.
I just realised that Jason managed to have a better musical career than Engve did in the last 20 years, and he's literally paralysed. I like that.
But Jason Becker hasn't just been like trying to stand at the front of stages and put the rest of his band behind him and take the piss. You know, he's not been ungrateful for the pedestal he's been given.
That's the wrong way around. Tribe Shift. Jason didn't help shape Marty's sound. Marty helped to shape Jason's sound. Marty was the industry vet at the time. He was the
Art Metal's fantastic,
confident.
Chris. Round Metal Hat, beautiful.
Yeah, Art Metal's a great album.
Absolutely, and I mean Jonas Elborg's a fucking ridiculous name to throw out there as well. Love it. Per Nielsen versus Guthrie Govan, fuck me, that's a terrible pick. Levi, you bad bastard. Art Metal's a beautiful album, man. That's a great one to throw into the chat for anybody that hasn't heard it. And about it.
Yeah, Art Metal, well worth checking out.
Chris, Levi's a transcriber. How many Yngwie solos are actually the same? They're all the same, like, aren't they?
There's a lot of repetition, but to be fair, that's the same with most players.
Yeah.
We have vocabulary. Some people
Gilbert
have slightly wider vocabularies.
My favourite for it.
But yeah, we have vocabulary. This is a wild one, actually, Guthrie versus Per Nilsson. So I'm going to throw my hat into this one immediately and say Per Nilsson. That would be my pick. But I also acknowledge that Guthrie will win this one.
You know where I stand with it, right? And maybe I'm wrong. Everybody these days has learnt enough of Guthrie's licks. They sound like Guthrie when they want to. The wee chromatic throw-ins and whatever. Nobody sounds like Per Nilsson.
Yeah. Well, you know, the comedy. Of
course, Per would pick Guthrie Govan. He's not got to pick himself. Come on, Chris.
Yeah.
He's the king, but he's modest.
Yeah, knowing both of them, Chris, you've just said Per would pick Guthrie, so I assume Guthrie would pick Per.
Has Ron Thal been in a poll yet? Yes. We've had Bumblefoot twice already, haven't we?
He's still going. He's not been knocked out.
Oh,
yet.
Fuck, he's in here, isn't he?
No, he's in there.
Oh, shit, he's in the past pipe.
Made it to the next round. Well, the thing with Guthrie is he's so influential, but people don't really understand or get his sound and his like. They think that there are many kids on the internet that think that fusion was invented in 2006 when the Rock Cakes came out.
It was, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Levi.
So the amount of people
Bread who
that the amount of people that hear, and it's not criticism on Guthrie at all because he doesn't tell people to say these things, but the amount of people that will go on like Martin Miller's videos and say, "Oh, you sound really good. You sound a lot like Guthrie." It doesn't sound anything like Guthrie. Like Guthrie was
You've
really
played things that
important
aren't conventionally minor and major.
He was really important for the internet thing because he popularized the fusion sound on the internet. As ridiculous as that sounds, there's many players that have been doing it for literally decades. But Guthrie sort of brought that thing to popularity. People thought it was really cool because of that. So because of that, everybody thinks that all the kids on the internet think that everybody's influenced by Guthrie.
I think the other thing about Guthrie is he didn't just bring it in like a stiff, regimental way. Guthrie's very playful in his playing.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that probably is just as much his approach as a teacher, as a musician, as it is his skills. Fair?
Yeah.
Because the amount of times I've seen Guthrie where he's just been fucking about playing things, somebody's ringtone goes and he'll play the ringtone. Like that kind of thing. That level of carefree fun in music.
I'm also willing to acknowledge in a situation like this, the reason I'm picking Per is because I've had the Guthrie thing. I've been there and like I've studied that as intensely as one possible. Guthrie is the reason I have a career in the grand scheme of things because I transcribed all of Erotic Cakes and put it up on the internet for people to. That was how I got a reputation as a transcriber, and I did that. Why did I do that? Because Guthrie was my hero, and he got his start in the industry transcribing stuff.
Did Guthrie not do that with Vi stuff and end up
that sort of thing? And Vi himself did it with the Zappa stuff. So I was like, okay, it seems like a valid way to get into the industry. Guthrie's like. And I said going to see the Fellowship was just some of the most important influences in my life. But that's the point, because I've consumed so much of it. In comparison, I've not consumed nearly as much Per Nilsson. So when I hear Per Nilsson now, it excites me as something new and fresh compared to the Guthrie thing, which I've listened to, relentlessly for years and years and years.
Aye.
But I know Guthrie's going to win it. So.
In fact, maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't think it was Guthrie was transcribing Vi. Was it not Sean Lane stuff for a guitar magazine? And that's how he
did
got...
do that as well. He did, yeah. He did that.
That was like where they were like, right, this guy knows what he's talking about. Yeah. Aye, okay, fair enough.
So Guthrie's going to win this one, but that's okay. I'm okay with that.
I would say Dream Purple Floyd, you're bang on. Guthrie has found a way of bringing fusion-y stuff into a much easier listening experience. Like, I mean, if you were putting Guthrie Govan up against Alan Holdsworth, you know what I mean? Like, I know what albums I would much rather listen to.
I like this comment because it's really someone talking about
how much Sean Lee. Thanks, Chris.
How much I value integrity. Someone says, I remember that, and then you took it down for Jam Track Central. I absolutely did, yeah. The second those transcriptions were available for purchase, I took all of my transcriptions down because I don't want to get in the way of the man's ability to make money. Like, integrity matters.
He's a good cunt. So yes, that Levi.
So
no matter what fucking
Anyone
Rob Chapman or anybody else says.
Yeah.
Or that other dreaded name, your man from Florida. By the way, I might be going to Florida in March. I'm going to go and hunt him.
Oh, Lance. I've got his address if you...
No, you've not.
Yeah, of course I have.
No, you haven't, because it doesn't stay there. That's for tax purposes. Guthrie can play any style. I would agree with that, Chris. Van Halen and Eric Johnson. Van Halen.
Yeah,
We
he's
don't
gonna
even
win
need
this.
a poll. Do we?
Well, you got to do it, yeah.
I mean,
Because I'm going to be controversial on this one, obviously.
I love Eric Johnson.
I love Eric Johnson. Given the choice of being able to play like one of these two gentlemen, I would rather be able to play like Eric Johnson.
No, you
than Eddie Van
wouldn't.
Halen. Yeah,
There's
definitely.
not a chance. You constantly bang on about Van Halen's ability to play in the pocket and his rhythm style.
He's a great rhythm player. Great rhythm
And the
player.
fact that he can do a bit of everything. You would not pick Eric Johnson. You liar.
I have an Eric Johnson Strat sat behind me, and I have spent untold hours in the last multiple months sitting and religiously practicing Eric Johnson licks. I've never done
Multiple
that
months.
with any Eddie Van Halen.
Life career.
Again, so I talk about Eddie being a great player,
Yeah.
but you may be getting this about me, right? Because I mentioned that having never really learned any Megadeth or anything like that. I've never really learned any Van Halen.
You don't really learn anything. I think the last band, the last artist I remember you sitting there and actually learning stuff was when you were learning the riff to Nevermore by Symphony X, because you were like, "Can you play this? Because I'm going to play it before you."
It's too fast, that
That's a
chorus.
great riff, man.
I'm more than willing to acknowledge that Eddie will win this. But yeah, just registering so everyone's on the same page. If I could play like one of these two gentlemen, I'd definitely play like Eric Johnson.
Well, that's Dream Purple Floyd. You're bang on with that. Like, Van Halen generally is overrated, and we spoke about this before, but I think that's because a lot of people focus on the fact that he was an innovative, experimental lead player, and not on the fact that he did everything when it came to guitar in the band.
Yep. I'll throw more controversial takes out there because I love Eddie. Obviously, absolutely love Eddie.
Don't you speak out of the dead.
I'm about to do it. The solo
Don't you
on
dare.
The solo on Beat It is garbage. The solo on Jump is garbage. Like, when you're going for Eddie solos, those aren't the ones. You know, they're both solos that just sound really out of place in the
Hot
songs.
for teacher.
Yeah, songs like that. I've transcribed. I transcribed all of Van Halen too. For someone, he's got so many solos that are just more fitting of the songs than those. I think other people would have played better solos on Beat It, and other people would have played better solos on Jump. So there's my controversial take of the day. But 68% going Eddie Van Halen, and I can respect that. I'm happy to respect that.
Yeah, that's only fair.
Sorry, Eric.
Andy James versus Marty Friedman. I love Andy. I don't even know him personally, but Marty wins. And that's no disrespect to Andy.
Yeah, we know where this one's going.
Oh, excuse me.
So Andy James, Marty Friedman. I think we agree that Marty Friedman's going to win this.
That's a bit an unfair pair, to be fair, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
That's an unfair one for Andy.
yeah. It doesn't reflect negatively on Andy in any way, shape, or form because
No, it
he's
does
an
not.
incredible player. I think he's better's the wrong word, but he's certainly a more impressive guitar player than Marty. But Marty is Marty Friedman. Again, I'll say what I said earlier. He played Tornado of Souls.
If you're talking about like technicality versus inventiveness, I would agree with you. Marty stands out as his own guitarist. Like, nobody sounds like him.
Yeah.
Even when you try to sound like Marty, you don't sound like Marty.
I had an interesting discussion actually with Gus G just recently
Uh-huh.
because I just transcribed. I just finished the transcriptions for Gus's album, and when
Is
I
there
was
more Firewind, or is it just Gus doing his own thing?
solo album, yeah. I think the album's
Prick.
called Exosphere. And when I was transcribing it, Andy was a big influence on me, right? Because I transcribed his record at a very influential time in my playing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of his licks started to seep into my playing. I do a lot of licks that I can just go, that's an Andy James thing. But when transcribing all this Gus stuff, I started to see all of the same things that Andy does. And I was like, Gus, where did these licks come from? And I was interested to hear if he was going to say, oh, like, you know, me and Andy were talking about things and I heard Andy doing this. Or if Andy had like, if Gus was a bigger influence on Andy than you would have thought.
The other way around.
Because I guess that would make sense because Gus had been on the scene a fair bit longer than Andy. But Gus didn't get it from Andy. So I feel that Gus has had an influence on Andy.
Really?
Which,
I like Gus as a guitarist. I really,
Yeah.
I like the earlier
great
Firewind
playing on
stuff.
his
He
new
is.
album.
He's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even his tone in some of the albums is ridiculous.
Okay, so Marty Friedman wins that one.
As we expected,
Yeah.
with no disrespect to Andy because he's a fucking monster player. Andy, if you end up hearing this, mate, please don't take that in any bad way. I'm sure you would probably agree.
Sorry, he's playing in Five Finger Death Punch. I don't think he cares about what losers like us say on the internet.
Oh, I mean, it certainly doesn't give a fuck what I think. Richie Kotzen versus Yngwie. I mean, again, easy.
Yeah? Who'd you go?
Yngwie.
Same.
And that's as someone who's not that bothered about Yngwie's playing.
Yeah.
But Richie Kotzen didn't play in Vengeance. Sorry, mate. Game over.
I like that you keep coming back to that. Again,
I don't care what MD says. That is a banging tune. One of these days I'm going to do a cover of it, except the solo.
was it Andy actually that introduced me to Per Nilsson's playing?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Rich Kotzen versus Yngwie. I'm going to go with Yngwie on this one as well.
I want to know who the last pair are. This will be interesting.
You should be able to remember based on everything we've seen.
Nah.
No.
I should be able to remember,
Yeah.
but nah.
But whiskey.
Aye, something to do with a couple of halves and having been up for 8 o'clock this morning, running about with the vein.
So pretty confident Yngwie on this one. As I said, same things stand. Although, given the choice, being able to play like Richie would probably be a little bit more appealing than being able to play like Yngwie.
There's a good name that doesn't get mentioned very often, Marcos Vogli.
Great player.
Marco's a tremendous player.
Yeah.
I remember watching a lot of his videos before he was really doing much, when he was on YouTube, and it was before he
When he was doing the James LeBrie band stuff.
before that.
Okay.
Before he joined James LeBrie's band, because at one point he was playing an S series, and then I think he got a signature with Ibanez, and it was an S series of some kind, or an S shape, unless it wasn't a signature. Maybe he just got a guitar from them, but he certainly used to play an S series, Ibanez, and he was at that point. It was before he was playing with LeBrie. Some of the stuff he did was disgusting.
Marco's a great player.
Absolutely, aye.
What's he doing these days? Not as prominent on the scene as he once was.
It's almost like anything that's got to do with Dream Theatre and James LeBrie doesn't go anywhere.
So Yngwie wins.
As he does.
So finally,
Jamesy Boy. And Zach Wilde. Oh! Oh! That's a good pair, isn't it?
I'm more than happy to overrule the poll on this one.
Zach Wilde going to win.
Yep. So Zach's already won this one, guys.
Oh, I'm getting tired, boys. Sorry.
Won't be long.
5-12. Jeez, oh.
Yeah, this is Zach all day long for me. I don't think that comes as a surprise to you.
Doesn't. As an all-round guitarist, Zach. Purely on rhythm, James.
I would go Zach as a rhythm player, as a songwriter, as a lead player, and as a singer.
As a songwriter?
Yeah.
Nah.
Zach's written loads of great songs.
He is, but he's no. Nah. I would argue Metallica have got much bigger songs than Zach Wilde's touch.
Sure, but one of the cutest things that exists is Zach Wilde sat around the piano with his daughter when she's like 3 years old, playing "All for You," his song, on acoustic guitar, and she's singing along with him. It's really cute.
Of course, that's cute, but that doesn't make him
Because
a better
kids.
guitarist or musician.
Because kids.
Kids and being dead don't make you better, sadly.
Zach's not dead.
But my point being that you were talking about how there's these people that get held in stature and whatever else.
Hetfield has written way better riffs.
Fact.
Is that true?
I mean, between him
No, I
and
don't- I wouldn't-
Lars,
I
they
wouldn't
wrote
give him
all the Metallica stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't give him that. Black Label Society have got some beasting riffs, especially on that first Black Label album. Tracks like Lowdown, great riff. But I'm biased on this one. I'm always going to say Zach. I'm always going to say Zach. I don't think Zach will win this overall thing, but if I had my way, Zach will win it. Now Romeo's out.
Of course you would.
Actually, if it was Zach and Romeo next to each other, I'd still pick Zach. So
It's alright to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. We're really getting to the depth of here, aren't we?
Yeah.
How many we got left? Like 10? Maybe? Not even? 6? 7?
not as cute as James trying to teach a riff to Kirk on Some Kind of Monster.
That's a good video, to be fair, man. He just kind of sits there like...
How many have we got? 1,
6?
2, 3,
No.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
10, 11.
There's 11.
Somebody's getting wild carded right out of there. Why don't we take one out the pile and just put it to the side, and that is on the very last as a wild card?
We'll bust through these again as a 2, a 2, a 2, a 2, and a 3.
Okay.
And then the winners of those will just be one group of 5 with a public poll.
Deal. I like it.
And what I'm going to say to you all, guys, in order to make this work, is share this stream on your socials, because we want as many people to vote in this as possible so we can crown
Only
a winner.
fair. It's only fair.
So first up, we have...
Because we're going out to list out who the best guitarist in the world is. And
Paul Gilbert.
we need some backup here.
Paul Gilbert versus Yngwie.
I'm saying Paul.
Paul versus Yngwie.
I'm saying Paul. As much as Paul's got a song called YRO, which is Yngwie rip-off, I would take Paul every day over Yngwie. Yngwie's incredibly good at neoclassical. Paul does neoclassical and songwriting. Fair?
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. Gilbert's he's the full picture, isn't he?
And I would think that Gilbert can sing better than Yngwie.
Paul's written better pop songs, he's written better metal songs, he's written better rock songs, he has written better instrumental songs, he is a nicer human being. Paul Gilbert wins this all
Hands
day,
down.
every fucking day.
Hands down. He's
All
the
day,
best.
every day.
He's the best.
Paul Gilbert has played across multiple genres over a long, long, long career. Malmsteen has done one thing solidly for 40 years.
Which is love up his own arse.
So, you got it. It's 21 votes. 21 votes. We've got Paul Gilbert in at 95%. Come on, guys, get your votes in.
It's a close one. We need these tiebreakers.
Paul Gilbert or Yngwie Malmsteen?
I think we already know who wins.
Yeah. That's better than a total guitar poll. Yeah.
Sorry, Binvey.
Well, we've on average, this compared to a total guitar poll gets the same amount of votes on it. So.
But I think the difference is that we're actually talking to the people that vote versus Randy Boy versus... Oh, that's a bold
good one.
That's bold. Randy versus Zach.
Randy Rhoads versus Zach Wilde. I think we know where I'm going on this one.
I've got a feeling you are definitely heading towards Zach being better than Randy. And you know what, man? Zach has had a longer tenure to prove himself. Randy was cut short.
Yep.
So I would agree with that. I think Zach's probably going to have to win.
Yep.
I'm going to put him out here, prospectively.
Yeah, we both agree on it, so ultimately it doesn't matter what people vote on
Waiting on the great pubic. I mean, public, sorry.
But it would be interesting to see if people wildly disagree with us on this one. But
don't see it happening, to be honest.
The thing I found really interesting when I did all of my Aussie album listens was that lots of people actually thought Jake E. Lee was Aussie's best guitar player.
Bark of the Moon is banging.
The song is, yeah. The song Bark
I know the album's not great.
The rest of the album has got very little on it that's worth playing.
Zach Pearson, Randy didn't play on No More Tears. That was an argument I made earlier on. Just, sorry, whoever you're talking about didn't play the No More Tears solo, and that's the end of that. So, we're on the same boat there, brother.
That's one I could pick up with guitar and play. The solo to No More Tears.
Could you?
Yeah.
Let's see it then, come on. I'm only kidding. Not beating the spot on that. And see, be fair, man, I would absolutely love to hear you shred that out.
There's a video of me playing that. So, Zach wins this one. 26 votes goes to Zach. Sorry.
That's right.
Sorry,
No
Randy.
More Tears is just an all-round fucking banger of a tune. The bass tone's great. It's got a chorus on it. The drums sound amazing. It's Mike that played in No Faith No More that plays the drums on it. Zach Wilde's there. Guthrie Govan versus Frank Gambale. Ooh.
Oh, that's an easy one. It's Guthrie.
Ooh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the student has outlived the master.
Yep.
The light at the window means a crack in the sky. Don't know why I sounded like fucking J. Hill Collier there. Oh,
So,
sorry.
yeah, Guthrie has to win that one for me. I still think that there's this. It's funny we talk about Guthrie being like just the Swiss Army knife of guitar, and he can play anything. I don't think Guthrie can do a convincing Frank impression, because I stand by this. Nobody can sound like Frank. It's terrifying how unique Frank's thing is, how good he is at it.
Yes.
He's so damn good at it.
Stephen, thanks very much for tuning in, buddy. Thanks for staying late. Really appreciate it. Have a good sleep. Thanks again.
Though, of course, Frank has a more extensive catalogue than Guthrie, which is worth considering.
Is it really when we've got 93% votes for Guthrie?
Yeah.
You know what? If I knew more Frank Gambale, maybe I could make more a convincing argument towards his
Well,
stuff.
here's the thing. I know most of Frank Gambale's music, and I'm still going with Guthrie. So
You know what I mean?
take from that what you will.
Yeah. 9-10. It's a pretty fair
Okay.
balance. Jason Becker versus Steve Morse. Becker, sorry. There we go. Easy.
So again, I'd go Steve Morse on this.
I'm looking forward to seeing what other people say.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say Becker. Because really, this has been heavily biased towards shredders and their influence on other shredders.
Yep.
And I don't say that Steve Morse doesn't have an influence. I'm sure there's plenty of guys that would list him as an influence. But there's a lot of people I hear play Becker licks. And not a lot of people play Morse licks.
We almost got Becker versus Marty there.
That wouldn't be fair. You know what? We're probably going to get that in the finale, though.
Yeah. So Jason Becker versus Steve Morse. I'll give you my rationale behind this, right? So I love Cacophony. I really do. And Jason was a bigger influence on me growing up. But again, Steve just has a more extensive catalogue. And for that reason, I've been able to listen to that extensive catalogue more, which means there's this wide variety of music that he's released that I love. Whereas with Jason, there's a limited amount of stuff that I love. So, yeah, I have to go with Steve. But
That's totally fair.
I know that people are going to go Becker on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I can accept that.
I did know that Frank Gambale's got a Kiesel signature model, which I find really interesting, because I don't think I've ever seen him play it.
He only plays it.
Is that what he's playing these days?
Yeah.
Aye, fair enough to him. Very good.
Yeah.
As long as he's got a guitar he's happy
He's
with.
been with those guys since he was with them when they were still carving.
Aye, for a while, I'm sure, aye. Even though he had the FGM 100, which is one of the coolest Ibanez's on earth.
Steve for his flying skills. Steve's a commercial pilot.
Is he?
Yeah, he has a pilot's license.
So is Bruce Dickinson, but he's not here.
Yeah.
And he can fence. So fuck Steve Morse.
Name redacted has gone with Becker for his yo-yo skills.
Credit where's credit's due.
Yeah. I think it's I expected Becker to get that one.
Yes.
Even if I vehemently disagree with you all on this one. This is a really fair comment. So not fond of Steve's vibrato, but love his work with Dixie Dregs. I've made that comment many times myself, that I think Steve's got a bad vibrato. It only actually starts to make sense when you listen to him in the Dixie Dregs. You understand that a lot of the time he was playing unison lines with a violin player. So his vibrato is he's matching the violin vibrato that not. Malmsteen also has a violin vibrato, but it's a different type of violin vibrato.
Yes.
So Steve's got this very fast and thin vibrato, which I don't like at all. But it makes sense for what he was playing, on the tracks he was playing.
Weird.
Yeah. So, okay. Becker wins.
Beck in the call.
Well done, Bex.
Right, we've got a triple for the ender.
A triple threat.
Bumblefoot, Van Halen and Marty Friedman. Oh shit, Bumblefoot. And
Was that your pick?
That's a knee-jerk reaction.
Was that your pick?
I think
That's really interesting.
Marty.
I'd go that too.
I think Marty is the more influential, but Bumblefoot is definitely a better player. And I think Marty's a more influential player because my personal experience
We're skipping over fucking Eddie Van Halen here.
Aye, we are, but we're talking about a guy that...
Bumblefoot, Eddie Van Halen, Bumblefoot, no.
Come on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Eddie Van Bumblefoot. Bumble Van Halen foot.
Steve's style doesn't fit in with Deep Purple for that reason. That actually kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Steve doesn't fit in for what reason? Sorry.
But his vibrato in the Deep Purple setting is just not right for it.
Mm.
I'll be honest with you guys. I've never ever once in my life listened to a Steve Morse track with Deep Purple. Never, not once.
Never.
When I see Steve Morse name, I think the Steve Morse Band, and I think Dixie Dregs. So. So, Marty Friedman, Eddie Van Halen, Bumblefoot. Your gut instinct was Bumblefoot.
Aye. Even though Van Halen's at 50%.
Well, I think that this is what we came down to previously, or the thing that I've said previously, which is when someone has died, when someone's recently died, or they've had a tragedy, or they were murdered, or anything like that, that tends to influence people. I can't for a second argue that Eddie isn't the most influential of all those guitar players, and for good reason. He's an immensely influential guitar player, and he obviously deserves to be. But Bumblefoot is a freak of nature. He's
He
just
is.
a freak of nature.
I know. Like I said
And
to
I
you,
love him as a composer. I love him as a songwriter. I love him as a singer. I love him as a creative mind, as a technician on the instrument. I absolutely love Bumblefoot, one of my all-time favourite players. So if you want to say Bumblefoot there, I'm happy to go with Bumblefoot.
who the fuck is voting Van Halen above the two of them?
I
and that's
get it. I get it.
I do. No disrespect to you for your opinions, but in sheer technical ability, musicianship. This is hard, isn't it? This fucking sucks.
Nah, it doesn't suck. We both agreed. And this is the Guitar Souls poll, really. So we've got 5 names.
This is going to be an absolute dickhead of a fucking
And
vote.
what an actual comedy. Like, I could have guessed that it would go down to names like this, right?
To be fair, we did put names I'm expected to go there.
So, guys.
Well said, Tribe Shift. EVH did write songs which non-guitarists loved, and the amazing guitar playing just made it all mind-blowing. And I think it was all the wee tricks he did and the wee flares that he had when he was just kind of showing off what he's playing that made him all that more elusive.
Oh. I think I can only do a 4-option poll. Let's see.
You can. Only do 4.
Might be that I've not put options in for them.
Guitars suck. Guitars suck. Guitars suck. What a tune.
Okay, we can only do a 4 polls here. So what I'm going to do real quickly is... Guys, I'm going to have to send you a poll to an outside website. So you're going to have to click on it.
SurveyMonkey or something. Pollmaker.com. Guthrie, Bumblefoot, Zach, Paul, and Jason. I mean, that's a fucking who's who, isn't it? Really. That is a who's who. When did we lose Holdsworth? I think he got quite an unfortunate pairing, if we're honest, Mash.
Yeah, I can't remember who he went out to.
I'm not sure myself. I mean, Alan's up there, and as ridiculous as he is, whoever it was that he was up against is probably more of a listenable cat. Was it not him and Pear? No, it wasn't.
No, Pear came just after. We'll have to go back and check it. Where did your gut fall on this then? Paul, I've posted a link in the comments to an online poll where you can go and select your winner for this. We're not collecting your data or anything like that.
We are actually.
Yeah.
Don't tell Andy.
So, yeah, not collecting any data.
An online guitar contest for best guitarist that won't be won by Hendrix.
I know, it's nice, isn't it? He wasn't even an entrant.
Tom Morello. Dan. I didn't trust guitar teachers. Dan. I didn't trust the police. Dan. I didn't trust nurses. Dan. I didn't trust the vaccine. Dan. Sorry.
He was almost one of the other jokers in the pack.
It's a good... I sent a link to you, didn't I? Like, they get the Tom Morello sound. Here's all the equipment you need to buy. It goes directly against the shit he talks about. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. Fucking hell, he doesn't need a signature wah, distortion pedal, amp, guitar. Next up, we did a fucking signature Tom Morello hat. Cunt.
Who'd you go with?
Sorry. Right, you've got Paul Gilbert, Zach Wilde, Guthrie Govan, Jason Becker, Bumblefoot. Can I upset you?
Yeah. I think you go Becker.
Those 4.
So you pick all 4 of them.
They all trump Zach Wilde. As much as I love Zach.
I'm actually quite happy with what you've done there. Because that's the winner over there.
It's not. It's not, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Guthrie Govan thinks that Bumblefoot is unreal at guitar. He would be scared of him as a musician. Not scared. Apprehensive to be judged against him. Guthrie's ridiculous. But Bumblefoot is not just ridiculous at his instrument. He's got this insane mindset of just being in front of other people. He lives and breathes music.
See what you just did?
Yep.
I'd actually do that.
But you're wrong. And that's okay. Because putting Zach Wilde above Jason Becker is just wrong.
Eddie's not in the final. Eddie didn't win. We overruled you.
No, Levi overruled you. I'm staying out yet.
We both went with Bumblefoot.
We did, to be fair.
We disagreed with you, and it's our show, motherfuckers.
I think we probably need to put Van Halen in if we're getting so many upset people.
I live for upset people.
Fuck it, wildcard, put EVH in with us 6.
I mean, I can't add him to the poll now, so.
Yes, you can.
So you'd go. You've got to pick one. So you're saying it wouldn't be Zach. That's fine. Okay, so you've got 4 here.
Becker, Gilbert, Govan, Bumblefoot. Difficult one. Had we the all-seeing eye, I think Becker probably had the potential to be way beyond the rest, but we didn't get that. As a composer, Becker wins.
Yeah, of those 5, he's the best composer. I'll give him that.
100%. But was also one of the best guitarists, so could have been well inside that circle. No bother. Had he still function. So, in my mind, really, it comes down to Guthrie versus Ron.
So you take Paul out of the equation?
I would have to, unfortunately. Okay. Which is a tough one for me to do, because I love Paul Gilbert, as you do as well. Me, personally, I'm going to have to go Bumblefoot, aren't we? Really?
Yeah. I mean, let's be clear. This is you. I'm not influencing this.
You're not influenced this in any way. You're not. You're right.
I'm going to give my answer. You kind of whittled them out one at a time, right? So you said Zach Wilde left first.
It's a process of elimination.
Yeah. And then Jason or Paul would go out next.
Paul would be out next.
Cool.
No, sorry. Right. So Zach Wilde's out because of these 5, I think he's the weakest.
Right.
Not any badness.
Sure.
He's got to the final stage. Well done to him. Becker's next because Becker never continued.
Didn't get to fulfill his potential.
Yeah, so we never know how far he could have went, and not a nasty way. Paul's next because really beside Guthrie, Govan and Bumblefoot, he's just not the same level of composer or player. Again, not out of badness. Paul Gilbert's a ridiculous player, but these guys could play rings on him, as well as play his stuff to him better than he could.
Yeah.
So then you're left with the OG Hot Sauce King versus the Grey Wizard. Fuck. But I think it's going to be Bumblefoot because I think of the 2, Ron would show Govan stuff or Guthrie stuff that I think Guthrie probably wouldn't be able to get before Ron, maybe? It's a hard one, shite.
If you were to go with Bumblefoot as your number 1, I wouldn't be devastated by that.
I think that's probably
I would be happy to.
I'll give you my thought process.
I would be happy to give you that. I would be happy to give him the official winner title from me. I know they won't go with that because, of course, as far as most of them are concerned, Eddie Van Halen should be where Bumblefoot is right now. So we've already, finagled this a little bit. For me, I'd do this.
Of course you would.
And I'd have it in that order.
Because you're wrong.
So I'd put Zach Wilde, followed by Bumblefoot, followed by Guthrie, followed by Paul, followed by Jason.
How can you claim that Zach Wilde in any way, shape or form is a better guitarist than Bumblefoot?
Because it's about more than just playing. We talked about this, more than just playing ability. It's who would you be if you could be tomorrow? If you could take their ability and like their influence and things. Bumblefoot, absolutely a better guitar player than Zach Wilde. But if I could play like one of those 2 men tomorrow, I'd play like Zach Wilde. Yeah, no hesitation in that.
You're definitely biased in that regard, though.
Well, we're all biased.
Of course we are, but what I mean is, like, I'm trying my best to whittle it down, like, as much as I can in a logical way.
Yes. I'm throwing logic out the window, Zach.
Of course you're like, Zach Wilde, that guy is everything that I want to be in guitar. Yeah. This guy got me here. Yeah. I can't deny him his place.
Which is why I'm happy to say, like, for me, although Zach is my winner, it's very much a personal choice, and I know that you wouldn't stand behind that, and our viewers wouldn't stand behind that. I talk about Zach all the time on the show, so I love him. We expect that from him.
There's a fucking fantastic name that never get put in here, Pat Metheny.
It's not Mel, and I didn't go, and I know I threw in a couple of names in that weren't Mel, but
that's okay.
I felt like they were wasted cards putting
in there.
Because I would put Mike Stern in there, I would put Pat Martino in there.
They would have been great. Mike Stern would have been a good one.
But I'm happy
upside downside
for you and me to go with Bumblefoot as our pick.
We'll shake on it. Ron, well done, big man. We love you. You got a pat in the back.
Chris will be happy with that. the Guitar Souls Guitarist of the Year. I mean, well, it's not even of the year because we're not talking about what they've released.
He's our honourable Guitar Soul.
It's of all time. Bumblefoot is the Guitar Soul's honourable Guitar Soul. Legend.
And this is how we celebrate him. Every episode I just wear his...
You've hidden his name.
Picture. Oh, every episode I just wear his name in my face. Can you see it all right?
Yeah. Yeah. That suits me. Suits me down to a T.
Let's see what people say.
So
I'd be very interested what this poll says.
I don't know if this will actually work. Okay, so I've got a...
Do you need to?
I've got to give them my data.
You couldn't have just clicked poll that they gave you? No. 41 responses, man. That's...
Okay, so we had 41 responses on it. How do I see the results? Oh!
It fucking was they. 44% Ronald Bumblefoot Thal.
Look at this, guys.
Love it.
So I'm going to bring it up so you can see it.
The question is, were you convinced by our arguments, or did you vote that already yourself? Because if I had any influence, I feel sorry for these.
Look at this. So Zach Wilde got the same percentage as Becca, with Paul Gilbert placing the bottom in that, with Guthrie as a close second. So our number one spots would be Bumblefoot and Guthrie, and then you and me obviously disagree on Zach, but yeah.
I don't mean
still
that in a bad
Bumblefoot
way.
and Guthrie right at the top there.
Like, I love Zach Wilde's playing. I've defended him all the way through.
Sure.
But in this list, do you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like having a G3, but then putting like... I don't even know.
I mean, I'll...
It's like having G3, but Robert Fripp plays with him.
Yeah, Chris, I think... I mean, of all the people that could have won this that we could probably get on the show,
Ron.
I'll send Ron an email and
Ron, you win today. You win forever.
And let him know that he won the honorary Guitar Soul of the year. So now there's two honorary Guitar Souls we've given out.
That's
We
right.
gave one to Steve Lukather
Just for not giving a fuck.
for being an arsehole. And now
A
Bumblefoot,
Guitar Soul.
a Guitar Soul, an honorary Guitar Soul. And Bumblefoot for our love and respect as one of the all-time greats. And I know that there's a lot of guys that will be watching this now that go, I don't actually know Bumblefoot. I don't know he's playing. Go and check his playing out. He's absolutely a fantastic player.
Just go and listen to Guitars Suck.
I wouldn't even go there because I don't even. I was going to say I don't even throw that away. I do like his instrumental stuff. I don't choose to listen to Ron's instrumental stuff. When I go to listen to Bumblefoot, I go to listen to his songs because I love his songs.
Yeah.
I think when you listen to a song like Turnaround, it's a cool song. It's a great song, or Rockstar for a Day.
Dream Purple Floyd is just one. Sorry, you're right. But we all know deep down in our hearts that the real winner is Wes Borland. Wes Borland was the winner in our hearts the whole time.
Yeah. So Ron, Bumblefoot, thank you, sir. You already know how much I love and respect you. So it's really, really cool to, even though I wanted to give it to Zach Wilde, it's really, really cool to see everybody else also kind of going for Bumblefoot as well. So much respect there. That's kind of cool. Well done. I'm really happy with that. Well
That was
done,
fucking banging.
Yeah, it went a lot longer than I was expecting, but you know,
See, outside of that, right? Like, beyond the fact that we've been here for what, 3.5 hours?
3.5 hours, yeah.
40 of you, plus and minus a couple, have stayed with us for 3.5 hours. Are you fucking mad?
Well, we're are you fucking locked down?
Well, there's that too. Thank you very much. I don't mean that in any disrespectful way, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you very much. I don't know what's happening with the podcast as of next week, because the likelihood of us getting an episode in for Monday is incredibly unlikely. I think you'd probably agree on that.
I'm working Sunday, Monday, so the 2nd and the 3rd I'll not be here, and I finish on the 4th, which is my birthday.
Sure.
30 fucking 2. I'm getting old, Trips.
It's awful, isn't it?
Oh, it doesn't come itself. Said to Nancy, oh, I'm getting old. And she's like, you're the old bastard.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you're supposed to say that I'm not getting old. Why don't?
Look at -7 being smart and linking to the Discord. Thanks very much, dude. That's really appreciated.
Why are you all so amazing?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bumblefoot is great, but I owned an Epiphone Zach Wilde Les Paul Camo. Fucking hell.
Yes.
That sentence just got worse and worse as it went.
You're so wide.
Epiphone and then the camo one. Jesus.
Yes. Don't listen to this boy. He'd be gutted that he's not got one.
Yeah. Cool, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're going to head, so no show at the start of next week. I don't know what's happening time-wise. We'll maybe get one in later on in the week. But more than likely, we're probably going to take a break for a week because I don't know about you, but I feel like I fucking need it.
I feel as if I was going to take a break, it would need to be a break from the entire world. Just put me into one of those fucking deprivation tanks and leave me.
Yeah.
See, like when Homer goes in one and ends up in like on the truck and then goes down the hill and all the rest of it.
Ideal.
It'd be perfect, wouldn't it?
Put me in an isolation tank and then rocket it into space.
You think we could take a phone with us and do like a deprivation tank live stream?
I mean, I surely you don't get Wi-Fi in those things.
How? It's just a case.
I've never been in one.
Never.
But I should, just for shits and giggles, shall I look into seeing if I can get us in one? Not
Who would watch us live stream from a deprivation tank? That's a real sincere question, because I would actually try that.
These motherfuckers would watch us live stream from anywhere. The toilet, evidently.
I think what they would probably enjoy is watching us mentally break down as we go into that weird hallucinogenic stage. Where you start to break through.
Cool. So, guys, as usual, I'm going to say, go and check us out and buy me a coffee. Link in the description.
I say buy me a coffee for 40 bits.
Well, it still exists, and
Right.
I've not sorted out payments. I've not sorted out an alternative payment method. But if people still want to support us on there, people still want to give them credit card information, etc., they will take your money. They will put the money aside, and we can get the money.
Oh, okay.
It's not an issue. It's just
Right.
it's nowhere near as convenient as it used to be. So. That does still exist. You can super chat us. We had a couple of super chats today. That was very much appreciated.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Chris and Andre, he's a gentleman. It was Andre, wasn't it? Andre put one before he left. That's right.
Yeah. Was the purpose? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That would defeat the purpose of the tank. I have tested Ron's hot sauce. Yeah, I had a bottle of Ron's hot sauce, the Bumblefucked, the hottest one, for a long time.
And you and I have got that one that you got me to try.
Yeah.
And then I've got like those chilies that I got, they're Naga chilies.
The bomb.
Biol whole pie or something they're called, like over 1 million Scovilles. They'll take about 8 or 9 months to harvest, but I am telling you, we're making hot sauce out of them, and you and I are going to have no asshole left. It's not going to happen.
I already have no asshole left.
High five!
I've changed the terminology now. I don't go with asshole anymore. I go with rump hole.
Right.
I think that's quite a classy way of putting things.
A rump hole?
My rump hole. It's
Your chocolate starfish.
Yeah, cool. So
your rusty sheriff's badge.
Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Thank you so much for an amazing 2021. Go and give
Yes.
Ormsby Guitar some love. Go and give Rev Amplification some love. Give us some love. Have an amazing rest of the year for the day and a bit that you have of it. We will catch you in 2022. You're absolutely fucking awesome. Couldn't do it without your love, kindness, and support. Thank you so much. Goodbye, motherfuckers.
Season 2022, cunties.
And hopefully we'll get Ron on in 2022.
Know what we could do? Just get one and make him listen to Party Can and see how quickly he leaves. Ron, check this. Play. 3 seconds later, Ron has left the call.
Goodbye. I didn't buy fuckers this.